I do believe, are live. Welcome everyone to the live stream. I hope that you are all doing well. Tonight we have on Tommy Tallarico of Video Games Live and of course the president and CEO of Intellivison. He is an industry veteran that has worked on hundreds of video game titles. I want to say right around 350, maybe 400. We'll bump up the numbers a little bit. We'll do that for him. Yes. But tonight we will be discussing the Roblox oof situation, which is going to be a very interesting one. The Amico, and of course a lot more. So welcome, Tommy. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me. And my name's Tommy Tallarico. I've been in the video game industry for over 30 years. Mostly known in the first part of my career or most of my career, as a musician, composer, and sound designer. Some of the big games I've worked on, the original Earthworm Jim and Disney's Aladdin, the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Guitar Hero, Metroid Prime. I worked with Shigeru Miyamoto for 5 years on that. Unreal franchise, the Sonic franchise, Spider-Man, Mortal Kombat.
Quite a lineup.
It goes on and on. James Bond, Madden Football, you name it. I probably worked on it on some point.
Yeah.
And then in the mid '90s, I started a TV show with Victor Lucas, and it was called The Electric Playground. And we won an Emmy Award and a Telly Award, and I was on that for 12 years. And it was also on G4 in 2001. And then I started Video Games Live in 2005, and that's been going for 18 years now, which is a big video game traveling symphony tour. And now I'm, became the president and CEO of Intellivison about 2.5 years ago, and coming out with a brand new console.
Yeah. How did
I sound busy.
Yeah, that you definitely do sound busy. Definitely. So, how did you get involved with Intellivison?
Yeah, so, Intellivison was my machine growing up. That was the one that, when I think back on my childhood and all those great early gaming memories, it's Intellivison for me. In fact, one of the first pictures that we put in our investor deck and PR and marketing stuff is a picture of me when I was 11 years old playing my Intellivison, original Intellivision. It was funny because some kids would take pictures with their pets.
Right.
Others would take pictures with their friends. I have all these. I would always take pictures with my Intellivison.
I mean, that's cute. That's charming.
Maybe a little obsessive, but yeah. So let's go with cute.
Yeah.
And so being in the industry, I really loved Intellivison, and I knew all of the people who were still running Intellivison. I'll tell you the quick story of the company. So Mattel started Intellivison. They started working on the Intellivison in 1977.
Right.
Shortly after the Atari 2600 came out, VCS, and they wanted a piece of that action because they had their Mattel Electronics group, which was very, very popular doing the handheld football games, and they did basketball and football. Football was the biggest one. And so they started in 77, and by 1979, they released the first Intellivison. And by the early 80s, Intellivison had taken 20% of the entire home video game market. We were doing about $500 million a year, which is the equivalent of $1.4 billion today. We had 1,800 employees worldwide. And then the market crash of 83, 84 happened.
Yeah.
And Mattel was looking to get rid of Intellivison. But 5 of the employees said, wait a second, don't just sell this off or go into bankruptcy or whatever with the company. we want to buy it. We're passionate. We love everything
Right.
about it. We helped to create the machine. And so they raised $20 million in
Whew.
1984,
Yeah.
and they bought the rights for everything, all the patents, the trademarks, the games, the hardware, everything from Mattel. So it was really cool that it was staying within
Yeah.
the family. And they sold in televisions. A lot of people don't realize this. They sold in television hardware and made new games all the way till 1990. So think about that. Intellivision's the only
Whew.
real video game system that was sold across 3 decades. The same
Yeah.
machine
Yeah.
started in 79 and got till 90. So it's a little, we got a
You
little
got
bit
a
on both
little,
ends.
yeah.
But hey, it's officially 3 decades, right?
Right.
And then, of course, by 1990, the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, the big 16-bit era, had hit. Of course, a lot of people don't realize, but Intellivision was actually the very first 16-bit machine, way ahead of its time. Had a 16-bit processor, but so by 1990, the industry had really kind of shifted over to that, and Intellivision kind of took a sabbatical, if you will. And then in 1996, the company now comes back and starts doing licensing deals. And Television's greatest hits for the
Right.
PC, for the DS, for the PlayStation. They were doing licensing deals for T-shirts. So if you've ever seen Big Bang Theory,
Yeah.
Sheldon
Yeah.
Cooper wears a couple Intellivision shirts.
I mean, it's
Astro
awesome to
Snack.
see that in shows and in movies.
Yeah.
To see that, that's awesome.
Yeah, you see it in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or that 70s
Yeah.
show, or, it became kind of this, thing to bring you back to the 80s. And so that's kind of where it all became. And that's I met those guys in the late 90s, and I was just huge fans of everything in television. They did tell all the old stories, and I
Right.
became really good friends with the president, Keith Robinson. And about 5 years ago, Keith approached me and he said, "Hey, Tommy, I know how much you love in television and everything. Would you be interested at all in maybe coming aboard, owning a part of Intellivision and really kind of helping us, in some of the business style stuff?" Because I had started so many successful businesses within the video game industry. I
Right.
knew so many people in the video game industry. And I said, "Keith, this is amazing. Of course, it would be an honor.
Well, yeah,
But
of
I have this
course.
really amazing idea. I see this huge gaping hole in the video game industry." And this was 5 years ago,
Right.
where no one's getting together and playing video games, people on different skill levels. The
Right.
Wii did it amazing 14 years ago. My mom bought a Wii,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I'm
Oh
sure
yeah.
you know many people who purchased a Wii that weren't buying like Xboxes and PlayStations,
Right.
but they just
Exactly.
wanted something simple and fun and easy to pick up and play. And that has all that couch co-op, that community stuff, it's all gone away for the most part, right?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with
Multiplayer
that.
gaming means a kid in a dark room with their headphones on. And
Oh.
mobile makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Mobile is just, this, and kids are like this, and it's very solitary. And so that was my vision, because in television back in the day was this family thing.
Right.
We didn't have the internet back in the 70s and
Oh
80s.
right.
So it's like
Yeah.
you wanted to play a game with somebody, they had to be in the room with you.
Right.
So and he loved the idea and the concept. But then I would go off on tour with Video Games Live, and he'd do things, and we'd meet each other at a conference in 6 months later and go, "Oh my God, we got to get together." And we always talked about it. And then Keith, unfortunately, about 2.5 years ago, suddenly passed away of a heart attack,
Yeah.
and it was really devastating. Did you ever meet Keith?
I have not. No.
Oh, okay. A most amazing guy ever. He's like a big teddy bear, and he's just so lovable and so passionate about Intellivision, and everybody who met him, fell in love with the guy, including me. And so I reached out to the other folks at Intellivision, and we actually discussed this at his life celebration. I hate the word funeral, but
Oh,
it
I
was.
definitely agree.
it was a life celebration. It truly was. And people made speeches, and so many people from Intellivision were there. So we were talking, and I said, look, and they all knew that, Keith had been talking to me. I said, look, come over my house this week. I let me pitch to you what I pitched to Keith, and I want to flesh it out, and I have this big idea and plans.
Yeah.
And we can't let Intellivision die with Keith.
Oh, yeah.
And I got together with Steve Roney, who was the original programmer of remember the game I don't know if you remember B-17 Bomb.
Yes.
One of the and Space Spartans and a lot of those. He was the original programmer. Right. He came over with Bill Fisher, who I'd known for many years as well. Again, the other programmer from B-17 Bomber, and he did Space Hawk and Space Spartans. Ooh. And Emily Rosenthal, who'd been kind of helping run Intellivision with Keith for like the last 10 years. And they came over, and I had decorated my entire living room with Intellivision stuff. Everything from like when I was a kid, and posters. And
you were feeling nostalgic. You were feeling nostalgic.
Just to let them know how much I cared,
right.
And the passion that I had for Intellivision. And I pitched them my idea. Yeah. They said, this is amazing. Yes, let's do this. So we formed a new company. The old Intellivision was called Intellivision Productions.
Right.
So we formed a new entity called Intellivision Entertainment, and then moved all of the assets into this new company. And the reason for that was because in order to create this new system and machine, we needed to have big investors, come in. And in order to make a company investable, the previous company wasn't really set up like that.
Right.
So we set up different LLCs. So, one that held all of our old games, another company for our new games, another company for our hardware, another company for our patents, another company for our trademarks, different companies around the world, a German company, a Middle East company, a China company. And then all of those are underneath Intellivision Holdings.
Right.
And so that was the reason we kind of structured it that way, and hit the ground running. I put a bunch of money in. I brought in some of my friends like David Perry, who was the original programmer of Earthworm Jim and Disney's Aladdin. And he was also considered kind of the father of cloud gaming. I mean, his company Gaikai, he raised $50 million and then ended up selling that to Sony for $383 million. That ended up becoming PlayStation Now. So Dave was involved, Steve was involved.
Yeah.
We have the original. We actually have 4 people who work with us at the company that have been there since 1981.
That's amazing. It's amazing to see the dedication that you guys have, definitely.
I mean, it's so passionate. And then I started just hammering and just cherry picking all of my best friends and best people in the industry. Because as soon as I would pitch these folks, I mean, these are people who worked at companies for 20, 30 years.
Right.
Companies like Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah.
Big companies, EA, Namco, Konami. And I would handpick the people I needed, who I knew were the best of the best. I would pitch them on the project, and they would just leave the companies because they love the vision and they're so passionate about what we're doing, So that's kind of been the journey to that point.
And now we are here,
that
right?
Was a long answer, but I talk a lot. I'm sorry.
And in October, the Amico is finally going to be here. We are finally going to be, within the coming months, seeing really the marketing for it and really seeing it up close and personal. And that is so exciting to me because I love the history behind video games and the games from the era of the Intellivision. And although I know the Intellivision did not have the impact like, say, the Atari did, it's still so important to the history of video games. And as I said before, I have working Intellivisions and I love them. And I cherish that technology a lot. So I suppose
it's so great. I gotta say, it's so great to have somebody, young woman your age, even knowing, not only knowing that these things exist,
but having them.
but to have passion about it,
Right.
to be knowledgeable about them, passing it. I mean, that just like I get goosebumps thinking about
Yeah.
it. So thank you for loving this stuff. And
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the things that was interesting is that like I said, Intellivision owned 20% of the home video game market.
Right.
That's nothing to sneeze at
Oh,
all. That's
no,
like what
definitely not.
Xbox is now.
Oh,
Like
definitely, yeah.
Xbox now is what Intellivision was. And but a lot of people don't realize this, but Intellivision did so many firsts in the video game industry. It was the first to do a D-pad, a
Yeah.
directional pad. It was the first to ever do a sports license with Major League Baseball.
Right.
It was the first to ever have speech in any video game, even arcade games. The first ever. It was the first 16-bit machine. It was the first machine that ever did a digital subscription-based system. 30 years ahead of its time.
Right.
40 years before Stadia and Google.
Yeah.
You could have, it was called the Play Cable. You would hook it up to your Intellivision, hook it up to your cable TV, which was this newfangled
Oh,
thing back then.
it was the bee's knees. It definitely
And for
was.
$12
Yeah.
a month, you could download all these Intellivision games. In fact, New York Yankee Hall of Famer and great number 7, Mickey Mantle, was the spokesperson for the Intellivision Play Cable system. So many amazing things. The first God game with Utopia. If people are interested, check out IntellivisionAmico.com, and we have like our legacy page, and it lists all of the amazing things.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the Intellivision is, I don't want to say it's overlooked, but it is in a sense.
It
is.
is. No, I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so I guess a big question that I have to ask you is about the new system that you are releasing, the Amico, your baby. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, what it is, what your plans are in the future for it?
Yeah, so what makes the Amico, and Amico is the Italian word for friend. And so I'm 100% Italian.
You are very dedicated, making sure all of the corners are covered with even, what it means, what the words mean, and who's behind it.
It's super important. It's super important to us that all of this comes from the heart. All of it comes from passion, and not just me.
But all of you.
We have 40 incredible team members internally. Engineers, hardware engineers, software engineers, firmware engineers, mechanical engineers, all of these people creating the system are just so passionate about this project. You walk in our office, hopefully someday you can come in and visit us, and it's like you can just feel the excitement and the energy, and everybody's just on cloud 9 knowing that we're doing something special here. But what makes Intellivision and Amico so different, the big kind of differentiating factor for us, is that our focus and dedication, our 4 pillars of the company are simple, affordable, family, and entertainment. And those 4 words spell out the word safe, which comes into play. So, what makes us so different is our main focus is getting people together, no matter what your skill level.
Right.
Could be a grandpa playing with his granddaughter, playing with the millennial, playing with a hardcore gamer, playing with their wife, playing with their neighbor.
Right.
All of those people, no matter what your skill level, put them in a room, playing together something that is simple and that everybody feels like, they have a chance to win. And it's really like a board game, right? When you sit down and play board games, everybody's kind of almost on the same level, right? And I just feel like that has gone away in the video game industry as online games and as mobile gaming. And I always say this, there's 200 million hardcore gamers in the world.
Right.
So if you add up Xbox and the PlayStations and the Nintendo and the PC gamers, you add those all up, and that's 200 million people in the world.
Right.
But 3 billion people play mobile games every day. But the problem with mobile is that it's so solitary. Like even all the edutainment for kids between the ages of 2 and 7 years old,
right.
It's all
They're all on
solitary.
right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so our big thing is make the game simple and affordable.
Right.
And so the system's going to be, in the $220 range, we think. Um, and we haven't locked down the price yet because we're trying to get it as low as
Well, right, you still
possible.
have almost a year until it fully launches, and right.
Yeah, we'll know the exact price by E3 for
Right.
sure.
Right.
And because we're going into production in end of March, early April.
Right.
But we keep adding cool things in, like upgrading certain things. Like
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. The screen itself, you'll see this screen here. It's nice and shiny. This is a capacitive touch screen. We used to have a resistive touch screen, and this just means a capacitive touch is the same as your mobile device.
Right.
That same
Right.
super high quality. So we made that decision. You know what? It bumped the price of our controllers up about $3-4 each.
Right, but in the long run, it's worth it.
It's worth it
Definitely.
because it's more accurate.
Right.
It's more smooth. It's exactly. We don't want anyone to think this is a. We want it to think it's an inexpensive and big value machine,
Right.
but we don't want people to think it's cheap.
Right,
You know what I mean?
definitely.
And so what makes us special though is that couch co-op. Yes, every single game has single player as well, but none of the games on our system are violent. We don't allow violence. We don't allow bad language, sexual content.
I
none
do
of
have
that
a few
stuff.
questions about that in a little bit, but yeah,
Please.
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
That's important to us. Again, we need to build trust, and I want value. All of our games are $9.99 or less.
Yeah.
All of the games are exclusive.
Right.
And people might think that's a bad thing. Our developers absolutely love it, and I can get a little more into detail as to why. But that's the big thing, using technology to bring people back together.
Yeah.
And, if people are going to hate on the console because of that, well, then they're going to hate on it. I don't know what else to say.
Right. I have heard you discuss quite a few times now that you wanted to capture the market for people that play board games. And
Yeah.
I grew up playing card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering, and I
Yeah.
worked at a local game store for quite a few years. I sold games like Axis and Allies and Catan and, Magic the Gathering. I sold a lot of board games, and I helped run events for them as well. And I am curious why this is the market that you envisioned creating a console for, because in my experience, the types of people that are purchasing these games are people looking for an interactive, non-digital experience.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So let me clarify that. You bring
Yeah.
up a good point. So our target market isn't people who play board games.
Right.
What I was meant by that statement is that when families get together now,
Right.
or when friends get together, or when relatives get together, they're more apt to play a board game together
Right.
as opposed to playing a video game. Like my mom doesn't play. Now, she bought the Wii 14 years
Right.
ago, and she went bowling, and she never bought another game, and that was it, and she loved it, and she played it for years.
Right.
My mom didn't buy the Switch. Like the Switch is it's amazing, but it is a different thing, and it's a different audience. But my mom plays board games 2 or 3 times a night, right?
Right.
And again, it's not like Catan and Magic the Gathering
right,
and things
right.
like that. It's Ticket to Ride and Monopoly and Scrabble and Aggravation and this and that. And so that was my point, is more to we're focusing more on families,
Yeah,
young
definitely.
families.
Yeah.
And that's more of kind of our thing, as opposed to like hardcore,
Right.
folks who go to Gen Con.
Right.
I think they'll enjoy the machine as well, but you're absolutely correct. Those people kind of want to get away from the digital experience, and we're kind of a combination of that, in that it's a room full of people. Everybody has a controller with a screen.
Right.
It's a little different than like Twitch digital games. And we're doing some really fun things
Yeah.
that the board games that we do have, it makes it super simple as opposed to the physical game versions of them. But
Right.
so it's really about families not necessarily hardcore board game folks.
Right, and you're saying that you're bringing these families together and older generations into playing video games, but I wanted to ask, do you think that those older generations would even want to kind of look at a screen and play digitally when they could go to alternatives like a board game?
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, look at mobile, right? They're
Right.
already doing it. The mobile industry. Again, there's 3 billion people that play mobile games every single
It's
day.
it's a lot of people.
But they don't call themselves a gamer,
Right.
So
Right.
what happens is when you think of video games, everybody's thinks of Sony PlayStation, Microsoft Xbox, PC games, or the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
But the reality is this. The video game industry was a $140 billion industry in 2018. We're waiting for the 2019 numbers to come out now.
Yeah.
But it's seen double-digit growth every year for the last 30 years.
Right.
Okay. Out of that $140 billion, 55% of that comes from mobile games, casual games, hyper casual games,
Right.
edutainment games. Now, the home consoles, the big three, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, they only have 25% of the market.
Right.
That means that mobile, in regards to money, more than doubles them for gross sales.
Right.
For PC games, that's 20% of the market. So mobile games almost triple that, but that's just the money made. When you talk about players, because a lot of people play mobile for free, then you get to that 200 million versus 3 billion people. So it's already out there. And the Nintendo Wii is also another proof positive. 102 million Nintendo Wiis were sold.
Right.
And it was the third highest selling home console of all time. It generated $50 billion in revenue.
Yeah.
So the concept of will non-gamers buy a video game system if it's simple and easy and fun? Nintendo has already proved that 14 years ago. Will older people who aren't playing Xboxes and PC games, will they play video games? Well, absolutely. They already do every single day, the Candy Crushes and this and that, but they're playing by themselves. If those people had an opportunity to play with their husbands or wives, or to play with their kids, or to play with their moms and dads, or when the family friends come over at Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or the birthday party or whatever, or just getting together on a Saturday night, would those people like to play video games with everybody? We think the answer is yes.
Right, definitely. And I've heard you talk about the mobile market a lot, and I ask how you think that you're going to captivate that market in a sense, because I have a little bit of trouble seeing these people that play mobile games and maybe get hooked on mobile games that don't call themselves gamers because it's so casual, but that is because they already own the device. They use their phone every day. They figure we'll open an app and we'll play a couple of minutes.
Right.
The Wii U was kind of an attempt to go after mobile gamers because of its tablet-like controls. These people, though, don't want to or don't usually go and buy, the specific hardware for it. They don't go and buy a console. And they don't even really, know about the consoles. They might know about, like, Xbox and Sony and, they might know the large ones. But how do you expect to kind of market to those people that don't look for the hardware and don't look to specifically to buy those items because they just play on their phone and they use it every day?
Right. So the problem with the phone, and I see a person in the stream say, if my phone can do it, why should I buy a new platform?
Right.
You have to understand, the Intellivison Amico is way bigger and different than a phone.
I would say it's an experience. That's what I would call it.
It's a social experience. Right. A phone is not a social experience. You're sitting there playing Candy Crush on the couch. The mom is. The dad might be playing Fortnite. The kid's playing Pokemon Go. They're not talking to each other at all. Right?
Right.
Can you play couch co-op games with your phone? Now there's 1,000 new games that come out every week, and there's 2, 3, 4 million games that you can get on iOS and Android. And there's about one of them, Jackbox Party, that where actually everybody has their own controller and can hook it up to a
Right.
TV,
Right.
right? And so, and so the idea of the social, this social experience. Now, but I'll get more deep into your question, because the reality is that when there's a lot of studies that have been done, where young families and parents, their number one concern for their kids is that they give them too much alone time on the screen.
Right.
That is the number one concern of all parents. And unless you're a parent, it's hard to maybe
Oh no, I definitely understand.
think in
Right.
that world,
Right.
right? And so, but that's what the research tells us, right? I
Right.
mean, I'm not I don't have kids either, so
Right.
but I can look at the research and understand why.
Yeah.
And so and the reality is that we're living in the time right now in the world that we've never seen before in the history of our planet, which is the millennials have taken over as the number one generation in the world. It used to be the baby boomers who were
Right.
their parents.
Right.
Now it's the millennials. And so now the millennials at this point are just starting to have kids and start families. They're in their early mid 30s, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what we've never seen in the history of the planet Earth. In the United States, there is 21 million households that have kids between the ages of 2 and 7. In Europe, there's another 21 million households. And if you add in Canada and Mexico, so all of North America and all of Europe,
Yeah.
there's 65 million households. Households, not people.
Right.
Households
Right.
that have kids between the ages of 2 and 7 years old.
Right.
And those kids, and those moms and those parents are looking for safe entertainment for their kids, hopefully some educational stuff that they can play together with them, because they don't just want to give them the $1,000 iPhone and the 4-year-old drops it, or they get them an old tablet and then they got to
Right.
worry about turning their kids into zombies because they're just by themselves all the time, right? What we're saying is we're providing entertainment for the whole family where they can play with their kids, or you can play with your friends. And that here's the thing, Vera. I got to ask you, think back, out of all of the games, the video games that you've played in your entire life, and I want you to think of your best video game memories and video game moments. I guarantee it was when you were with other people playing a game in a room together, right?
I actually would disagree with that.
Okay.
I
Well,
actually,
you're younger, so
because
maybe
for me, I
bring
feel
it
as
on. What was
though,
your favorite?
yeah, I feel as though the experiences that I remember the most were like playing games that I was captivated by, and I was like completely just surrounded by it. Like Knights of the Old Republic 1. That game
Okay.
was one of the best RPGs to ever come out, in my opinion. And I think back to that and how just captivated by the story I was, and how I could like relate with the story and just feel like it was surrounding me. So I feel like that to me is actually kind of the best memories I have. But at the same
Fair
time,
enough.
I do completely agree that I have great memories surrounded by people playing games, and whether that's board games or video games, I would definitely agree with that. And I think that a lot of people do have those memories.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
know, like my generation, we think about Atari and Intellivision, ColecoVision in the early '80s, late '70s, and then millennials, they're thinking like, and Gen Xers like myself as well. We think about GoldenEye on the N64, Mario
Yeah.
Kart on the Super Nintendo, Bomberman, Tekken, Street Fighter, LAN parties with everyone bringing over Halo
Yeah.
and linking up machines in the early and mid 90s, again, before internet. These are the kind of the best moments, those kind of punch your buddy
Yeah.
in the arm moments, and oh man, you got me, but I'm going to get you now. And this kind of human contact. And that's one thing, again, that mobile doesn't provide people, that
Right.
human contact, that working out not only cooperatively, but also versus as well. So in
Right.
all of our games, yes, we have single player. Yes, we have cooperative modes where we're all working together
Right.
to do the same thing, but also versus mode as well, where, oh, it's me against you and then us against them and
Right. You're
teams
sitting next to
against each
someone
other.
and you're passing the controller. You each have a controller. It's just that memory. It's that experience.
I mean, think about
Yeah.
this, Vera. There hasn't been a video game system in like 30 years that has even come with two controllers, right? So, and some people say, well, the Switch kind of does. You can split it apart.
Right,
No,
and
I'm talking
sometimes they
about,
have bundles, but looking at the core of what they release and the way that they release it and the way that it's marketed, it's not marketed towards buy this console and play it with your friends or your family. It's marketed as, just that single player type of experience.
exactly. Well,
Right.
I'll give you an example. The PlayStation 5 is being released this year. Xbox Series X this year. What couch co-op games are being released for those systems?
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Right? And I
Right.
bet there probably won't be any. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm saying,
Right.
like, everything, you look, Google Stadia is another example, right?
Right.
What couch co-op games, Apple Arcade. There's a few there. There's starting to be a few there. I think people are starting to, see what everyone is saying.
Right.
Yes, I'd love to play games with people in my house. But see, older people as well get very intimidated too by a lot of the like I'm not a Fortnite player.
Right.
And if I were to jump into Fortnite,
You'd feel intimidated. You'd feel like,
I'd
what
be
is
blown
this?
away.
Right.
It wouldn't be any fun for me at
Right.
all.
Right.
And I mean, and I'll give you another example too, where, and again, I'm not trying to like disparage Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo.
Oh, no,
or mobile.
definitely not.
I
Right.
play them all. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
them all.
I
love them
agree.
all.
I play them all too.
Yeah. But I'll give you an example, like last Christmas, not this Christmas that just passed, but the Christmas before, I was really getting excited for Red Dead Redemption 2, right?
Yeah.
Red Dead 1 was one of my favorite games of all time.
It was good.
I love the Old West style, the interactive music, the sandbox. It was amazing. And so I had the thing on my shrink wrap on my stairs for like the longest time. I was busy. I was out of town. Now it was around Christmas, had the day off. I unwrap it. I put it in my PlayStation 4, which I still, by the way, have troubles turning on. Like, what button is it? Why did the disc eject? Oh shoot, it's the one on the left. Okay. I mean, this is insanity. They've made these consoles so hard you can't even turn the damn things on. Okay, so
Yeah.
I turn it on. I put the disc in, and it's like, and I hadn't played in a while. I literally had to wait like 13 hours.
Yes, the downloads and the updates.
Upload
and...
the firmware, and then you put the disc in, and this and that, and then I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to play it tomorrow now. Okay, fine. Next day happens, and now I'm sitting there and I'm playing for like 3-4 hours, and like my dog wants me to take him for a walk,
Oh.
and my wife wants to go out, and like you start to feel guilty that, again, this is when you get older.
Right.
It's like your life happens and your job happens, and it's like, gosh, I just don't have the time to
Wait 5 hours.
60 hours
Right.
into this game. And then the controls ended up being so complex, and it's a beautiful game, a masterpiece. And then I pick it up like 4 days later, and I'm like, I forget how to work any of this stuff, and I put it down and I never played it again, right?
Right.
But yet I'll play some simple game on mobile, and I'm like, or something like a Words for Friends even,
Right.
where it's like, gosh, I wish I could play this in the same room with somebody,
Right.
So anyway, it's yeah, the older you get, the less time you have for this kind of stuff, and the more intimidated by, I don't want to sound like some grumpy old guy. I'm not. I'm a hardcore gamer, but it's just that I just see the industry at a point where everyone's like competing for those 200 million hardcore gamers. And what we're saying is, we're going to compete to those 3 billion people who've been completely ignored for home consoles and who are yearning for more cooperative things as
Yeah.
opposed to just staring at their phone all the time.
Right. I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from. But I also raised the question of,
Mhm.
how do you expect to capture those hardcore gamers, or are you not even worried about them?
No, we're not worried about them because again, if you had to sell something to somebody,
Yeah.
would you rather have a market of 200 million interested people or 3 billion interested people, right?
Right.
So
Right.
we don't need the hardcore market to survive, like Microsoft and Sony and to some extent, I would say Nintendo as well and PCs. We don't, or Google Stadia. I mean, we don't need those 200 million people to survive because everybody's fighting over them. I'd be high if I thought that some 40-year-old brand in television was going to come into the hardcore gamer market like Atari VCS feels they're going to enter into.
Yeah.
I'd be crazy if I thought that I could compete with all those companies. That's
Right.
not what we're doing. We don't consider ourselves competition with any of them because we're doing our own little thing, staying in our own lane. So our go-to-market
Yeah.
strategy is the following. I'm not going to try to get Ninja and pay him a couple $1 million to talk to hardcore gamers or PewDiePie
Right.
or whatever. Our strategy is getting to those young moms who are looking for safe, educational, fun things that they can play with their kids, that their husbands are going to like because they see the old retro games that maybe they grew up with. There's edutainment stuff. There's bowling. There's cornhole. There's pool. There's darts. Oh my gosh, Grandpa's going to love shuffleboard. Oh my gosh, there's all these card games and dice games
Right.
and word games and it's just a fun entertainment device that has everything kind of in it. There's retro reimagined. There's a bunch of unique games that we've made that make use of everybody in the room having a touch screen and a microphone on their and a speaker on their controllers.
Right.
And so like for example, the influencer convention for moms, it's called the Mom 2.0 Summit. Happens every year in Los Angeles in May. This is where thousands of the top mom influencers, and these are folks that have tens of millions of followers on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, they all gather at this convention. Well, guess who the title sponsor is for Mom 2.0 Summit? Go to their website and you'll see Intellivison Amico
Right.
all over it. And the focus testing that we have done, see, this is very important. People might say, gosh, I'm not sure. I get your vision, Tommy. I see that you're very passionate about
Right.
it, but I just don't know if moms are willing to buy this or that parents are willing to buy this or that families are willing to buy this. What makes you so sure? Well, I can tell you, we have focus testing for the last 2 years, people playing the machine, non-gamers, moms, dads, young kids, and even hardcore gamers. You might have seen some of the folks like John Riggs or
Oh, yeah, definitely.
what was Jesus, Metal Jesus Rocks,
Yeah.
Kelsey. These are some folks, Smash JT, who have seen the game, they've played it themselves, and they give it rave reviews.
Right.
And they're hardcore. They're hardcores.
Yeah.
But the focus test that we have, the market testing that we have, is absolutely off the charts. In fact, we do this kind of fun thing where we put down a PlayStation 4 controller, an Xbox controller, and a Nintendo Switch controller, and then our controller.
I think everyone would venture to the Amico controller. Yeah.
The non-gamers.
Right.
You
Because
ask
it
a
looks
mom,
interesting. It looks different.
and
I
even
mean,
the kids though. That's
Well,
the interesting.
right.
Even the smaller, small, younger children between the ages of 4 and 7
it
years
looks
old.
neat.
They
Like, what
go
is
right
that?
to it because it has a
Right,
screen and
right.
they know this,
Right.
right? And so this is amazing to think about,
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Now, I'm curious because we've talked about your competition a little. How do you feel about, so I know that it is the mobile market still, but how do you feel about things like Apple Arcade, since their games are all family friendly, I believe, plus it's accessible on a device that most people already own, which is your mobile phone?
Yeah, well, I mean, the reality is that a third or 2/3 of the world doesn't have an Apple iPhone.
Right,
So there's like I don't have an iPhone. I'm a Droid guy, so
right,
I can't play Apple Arcade. Now Google has their version
right.
of
They
it.
kind of have that counterpart.
Yes, but Apple simple. It's affordable. 4.99, 5.99 a month, but this sucks as a controller.
But you are offering on the Amico that you can use your phone as a controller.
But we have some secrets that we haven't
Yeah.
announced yet.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
We have some secrets. So yes, you can
I'm
hook up to
very
eight.
hopeful. Right.
You can hook up to 8 mobile devices to Amico as well out of the box. But there's some things coming down the line
Mm.
that are going to blow people away, that we're going to be launching at E3, and revealing to the world it's going to blow a lot of people away. But that's the thing with so yes, again, I'm not trying to disparage Apple Arcade or
Oh
go.
no. I
I
don't think
think
any
it's
of us
great.
here are worried about that. Right.
I think not really, because it's a whole different thing, right?
Yeah.
In that, how many of those Apple Arcade games can you play with 4 people all having their own information on a screen,
Right.
and all being a centralized screen as well?
Right.
How many of those games do that? Not many at all,
Right.
right? And so it is a different, it's a different type of experience. But
Yeah.
I think what it does is it helps solidify our whole message of simple games without loot boxes and in ads and all that stuff. Like, we were the first to come out to say that, right? 2.5 years ago, we came out and said, we don't allow ads. We don't allow downloadable content, in-app purchases. We don't allow in-app or in-game advertising, right?
Right.
Kind of
Right.
the first to come out to say that. We don't allow violent games and this and that. So,
Right.
so for Apple to kind of say, hey, we think that's a good idea as well, and they're
Right.
doing it kind of within their own ecosystem.
It is
I
Apple
think it's
Arcade
powerful.
is similar. I would say that it's it has the same idea. It's family friendly. You can
Yeah.
access it easily. It's a low cost. So that's really why I asked. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not going to be playing Apple Arcade with 4 friends, because you're going to need 4 iPhones. You're
Right.
going to need, you know what I mean? Like, so it makes it more accessible to more people.
Right. Yeah. Another system I have followed pretty closely with, I've discussed it quite a lot over the past year, is the Atari VCS. It
Oh
has
boy.
a lot, we'll touch on it lightly. It has a lot of problems surrounding it, and there's been a
Yeah.
lot of rumors and speculation.
Mhm.
But let's say, if the VCS ever releases, do you think that it will be a competitor to the Amico?
Absolutely not. It is so, you couldn't get a more opposite machine than
Right.
Atari and Intellivision right now. As I mentioned, our machine is all about simple, easy accessibility for everyone. Don't have to be a gamer. Atari's Atari's project is, and they'll say it themselves, is more about, you know, like for modders, and like, hey, you can download your own operating system, and
Right.
you can open up our sandbox mode, and it's really, again, it's for modders, for hobbyists. I think it's like almost like a Raspberry Pi but on steroids, right?
Right.
So I think if I were them, if I were running Atari right now, I would be pushing the box as something like a Steam box. And I know that Steam tried to put out their own version, but Atari
Right.
has a great name, a great brand, a great logo, a great history. I would be pushing it as, hey, there are tens of thousands of Steam games, hundreds of millions of Steam games out there, and again, if I were them, I would have went through and I would have got the top 10 epic Well, no, let me not, don't say Epic because then
Yeah,
you're talking about the Epic
yeah,
store. I
yeah,
got to choose my words carefully.
yeah.
But I would get the top best ever games, put those on in Steam, put those on the console, cut a deal with Steam so you get like a percentage off, and then make it the Steam box for your TV. That's what I would have done if somebody said you're in charge of Atari tomorrow. But instead, they're kind of look. The reality is that you have to have games in order
Right,
to sell a new console. You have to have unique games that you can't get anywhere else.
right.
That's the difference between is somebody going to buy a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox at
Yeah,
Christmas? Who's going to have the better exclusive games, right? We've seen this throughout the history of the entire video game industry. The Sega Genesis is a perfect example. Alter Beast was the first pack-in game for the Genesis, and it was kind of selling
yeah.
mediocre. And then they started packing in Sonic the Hedgehog, boom, it explodes.
Right,
Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo,
right.
Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation. Look, let's face it, gamers hated Microsoft, right? Oh, Microsoft's a spreadsheet company and those awful Windows
Yeah.
and that Bill Gates guy. They were the most
That
uncool
Bill
company
Gates
for
guy.
gamers.
Right,
And all of a sudden you put Halo on the console, and all of a sudden, oh my God, Microsoft's the coolest company ever, right?
right.
And then you look at the companies that failed. 3DO. What was their big thing? Road Rash? Well, not really. I could have bought that on the Sega CD. It was basically the same thing. You look at Ouya. They didn't really have. It's like, oh, what was that game called? And she looks off stage, and
Right.
Towerfall or something. Yeah, and so for the Atari VCS, I would warn of the same thing. Here they are, a month from release
Oof.
of so they say
Yeah.
of a month or two from putting but no one's seen unique games running on it.
Right.
You can't say, oh, here's our system, buy our new system for $400,
Right.
350, whatever, 250, 350, the different ones they have, spend, let's say average of 350, and you can play Fortnite on it. Well, but I can already play Fortnite on something for this around the same price or cheaper that has 1,000 games I want to play on it,
Right.
new games. So you have to have exclusives. And that's the one thing I think where Atari's kind of tripping themselves a little bit is show the games, and that's what we've been doing. Today,
Yeah.
you might have seen, we released a 4-minute video of
Yes.
Night Stalker. And
Oof.
people are kind of freaking out, going, oh
Yeah.
my God, it's so cool, this and that. So it's about the games. At the end of the day, it's not about the hardware. It's not about the console.
Well,
it's about the games.
I do think the hardware in the console itself matters to a lot of people because of how much money you're spending on it.
That's right. That's
Right.
very correct.
When you're
and that's
spending
why we want to keep ours
right,
low.
when you're spending $400, $500 on a console, you're going to look at the specs, and then the console itself matters even more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Definitely. Do you think the disasters of the Coleco Chameleon in the yet to be released, a fairly misleading Atari VCS, has affected the ability of any consoles outside of the big three to succeed?
I think that folks like me and you who follow this stuff and pay attention to this stuff, I think it matters to maybe that super hardcore segment,
Right.
But to be honest, again, I'll take, does the average 3 billion people who play Candy Crush or whatever, does my mom know that the Atari VCS came out? Does she know what an Ouya
Right.
is? And
Right.
did she know that the Chameleon ended up, not coming out? The answer is no. The mainstream folks have no idea. They know Sony, they know Nintendo, and they know Microsoft. It's going to be our job, no matter how great the machine is and how fun the games are, our most important thing, it's going to be our job through our marketing to make some noise so that
Yeah.
we're at least in that conversation as
Right.
well.
Right. Yeah.
And that's
I,
that's on us.
Yeah, I definitely think that the marketing that you put into it is going to be very important. Just because.
And do you see who's on our marketing team though? Have you
Who?
seen this?
Who?
So the folks that we've hired to handle our marketing, Perrin Kaplan was a senior executive vice president at Nintendo for
Yes.
18 years. She
Ooh.
is the woman who helped to launch the Nintendo DS, the biggest selling video game
Yes.
system of all time, 155 million
Ooh.
units sold.
Yeah.
She launched the Pokemon franchise, the number one IP and franchise in entertainment in the world, surpassed Star Wars a couple years ago. She helped launch the Nintendo Wii to families, to parents, to nursing homes who never thought they'd ever play video games. And now you say, yeah, but wasn't she involved with the Wii U too? Nope, she had left before that. So this is a woman who is a senior vice president of Nintendo for 18 years. And she brought with her three other very important people: Kelly Horner, PR, Beth Llewellyn, who ran PR at Nintendo of America. These folks are working with us and our marketing program
Right.
to get it out there. But also our in-house marketing person, and this is an exclusive because I haven't mentioned this at all, and we're going to be introducing her to on social media to all our followers out there. But our marketing vice president internally is a woman who was head of all the Disney products at Mattel. So she did marketing for Mattel, an amazing toy company that moms and kids and parents love and trust.
Yeah.
But as a double whammy, she was also, doing all of the Disney products for Mattel.
Right. You're not going into this joking around. You know how much marketing you need, and the people that are behind you, you're confident in them.
Yeah. Well, you have to be right. It's a team effort. If anyone out there thinks that it's just like me on my laptop hoping that and putting out. Look, I'm very vocal on social media. I'm vocal on YouTube channels. I like to comment. Because again, I'm passionate about it. This isn't just some 9-to-5 job to me.
And to a lot of people, they think that way. They think that you're just someone that's going, oh, make me money. You talk to a team and say, create me something. I want to make money. They don't realize how passionate some people are, even game developers, and they don't realize how passionate they are.
Absolutely. I mean, we have over 300 people working on games for us right now, over 50 game developers all over the world, and handpicked by us.
Yeah.
Handpicked a lot of folks who I know and love and have worked on some of the biggest games with. Those are the people that we're handpicking to work on titles. And again, look at the games that we've showed. Breakout, so amazing, so cool looking, so retro looking.
Yeah.
Night Stalker. We're going to be releasing Astro Smash footage on Monday morning that is going to blow people away.
Yeah.
It's like really super cool 2D, but with painted backgrounds and 3D lighting. And 3D effects, lighting effects. Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
I'm curious, what's your favorite game that you've put on the Amico?
Whew,
yeah.
Ask me that.
Yeah. What is your favorite game that you've thought of, or you instantly thought of, that you knew you wanted to put on it, or
I'm gonna say, oh gosh.
All right, top 3. How about top 3? Can you do that?
Thank you.
Can you do that? I'll compromise.
I don't want to make any of my developers mad.
And then you're going to get us dislike bombed, and everyone's going to hate you. Yeah.
So here they are. My favorite 3 to play. Like we usually, we're in the office playing like crazy. Okay.
Yes.
Night Stalker, the one.
Obviously, yeah.
And by the way, here's another exclusive for you. When we were playing that game, we were playing it and recording that footage yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm the green guy. Okay, so
the green guy.
Exclusive for you. I'm the green guy in that.
Hot details, you guys.
So
hot details.
Super. I mean, you're just getting all the scoops tonight. Okay,
I like it.
So Night Stalker, Moon Patrol. Oh my gosh, this game is so good and so fun to play, And so the couch co-op in the versus mode is so epic. Moon Patrol, which I don't know, did you download our Amico Club app?
I do
Have you
have it,
seen this?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we play a little 20-second Moon Patrol thing, but we're actually going to do a complete level that we're releasing in a couple weeks. You'll be able to play a whole
A couple weeks?
level.
Why do you have to tell us and say it's in a couple weeks? You
Well,
can't
you
do
know,
that.
you
You
know,
can't leave us hanging like that.
No. Well, did you see the Founders Edition? Did you see the classic wood
Oh
grain that we just
man.
released today?
Ooh, that
So
looks
we're doing
good.
pre-orders. We're doing the Founders Edition.
You're
It's
doing
coming on Monday.
2600, aren't you?
We're doing
You're
2600 of
you're
them.
doing 2600. I caught on to that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Did you see what we
That's
did there?
catchy.
You see what, we got to.
That's catchy.
Got a little,
Yeah.
fun poke at our
Oh,
friends.
why
at a time,
not, right? Like it's not like it's not like it's harmful.
No,
it's charming.
I like to. We like to, because remember, Atari and Intellivision were the very first original console wars. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of, very tongue in cheek though. I hope the Atari comes out. I hope it's successful.
I do too. When I talk about things on the channel, and sometimes it is negative, I want these things to succeed. I want the gaming industry to be the best damn gaming industry that it can be. I want every developer to be able to show their vision and create what they want to create with no boundaries and be able to succeed. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so Moon Patrol is so much fun. And then the third game is one that we haven't shown to the world, but we will be at E3. And it's this really cool game that uses the microphone and the screen on the controllers. And like anyone can play, because literally it's a game where you're speaking into the controller, and no one's ever done anything like this before.
That's neat.
So many cool, and it's such a unique concept and funny as hell. And it's something that grandma just hit the screen or hit any of the buttons or whatever, just hit the screen and talk into it. And It's freaking hilarious. I can't wait for folks to see it.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that for sure. So on the kind of topics of games, I think that it is great that the games are going to be such a lower price. They're going to be affordable, because I think that gaming can be very expensive. It's a very expensive hobby with $500 consoles and $60 games and $80 controllers. It can be pricey, and some people are priced out of new games, but I with the price point of the Amico games, and with the fact that Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft clearly make all of their money off of software, won't the price be a problem for developers and Intellivision for making money? Because there's such a low price point, I question where the profit would be from.
I love that you're asking me all these tough questions, because this is something that a lot of folks, they hear the whole thing and they're like interested, but then it's like, but wait a second, who's going to come and develop games for you?
Right.
For such a low price point in this.
Right. I discuss
question.
Yeah.
Let me give you. So here's the answer.
Yeah.
So let's say you're an indie developer.
Yeah.
Okay. You have two options right now to publish your game.
Right.
You can either bootstrap everything yourself, right? Maybe it's 3 or 4 folks living in their apartment. They're not getting paid at all to make their game. It's all sweat equity. Maybe they're living in their mom's house. They're doing it on the weekends because they're going to school, or they're earning money for a job. They're trying to, create their dream, right? And we give the utmost respect to these folks. And then they finally put out this amazing game. Maybe it takes them a year or 2 years, and then they put it out on Steam, and they see within 20 minutes, boom, their game's gone off the charts.
Right.
And they have no money for marketing. They have no PR. They have no, public relations department, or, they're hoping that maybe someone will talk about it on a YouTube channel or something like that. They're working it hard. Or they release it on mobile, and no one sees it because 1,000 new games came out that week as well. Right. So all of that hard work, all of their dreams for naught. Right.
Yeah.
Or the other thing they do is they try to get it crowdfunded. Right.
Which can
And
be a very rocky path, you know?
well, it's a rocky path, but it's been a great way. I mean, look at
Oh,
Undertale.
definitely. Oh,
Look at
definitely.
Undertale. That's all I have
Yeah.
to say. Like, there's some amazing mega hits. If not for crowdfunding, maybe we would never know Undertale. Maybe,
Right.
and so what? And again, I'm talking like, indie developers. Now Intellivision comes along,
Yeah.
and Intellivision says to the indie developers, you know what? That game that you made was freaking amazing.
And deserves more attention, yeah.
It deserves more attention, but let's bring it on our console because all of us have controllers with screens now. How can we make it co-op? How can we utilize the colors of the controller, the lights on the system, the speaker, the microphone, the couch co-op play, the versus play. Let me, and Intellivision, let us pay you to create your dream.
Right.
And we will give you all of the resources, the top people in the industry. Like, I'm doing the sound design and a lot of the music
for sound design and music. We will get into that discussion. Right.
It's my passion.
Yeah.
I do it on the weekend. So you get access to the top music folks and sound designer folks. We give you optimization programmers that will help you optimize your game. These are the people who worked on our hardware, who are employees of us, who created this machine. They know how to get the most out of it.
Right.
We'll give you our art director is he's the art director from Disney's Aladdin. He did all the Earthworm Jim stuff. He's been with, I've worked with him for 30 years. And I knew when I started this, I had to get him. I had to hire him away from a Disney company. And so you get access to him where he'll take your art and he'll give you notes and this and that. So we get our AAA people who've created the biggest and best-selling games on the planet. We become a part of your team.
Right.
We help you to create your dream. We pay you to create your dream. And then we're the first party publisher of every single one of our games because we curate everything. So when it's a true partnership. So when that game comes out on Amico, this is our promise to all those developers. They are the number one slot. Our promise to our developers and the folks out there, we never come out with two games at the same time ever.
Right, because you're giving them that chance. You're giving them that chance to shine.
To give them the spotlight. So if there's millions of Amicos out there by next year, and every person who turns their Amico on and they see, boom, here's the game of the week, and they have that banner for like 2 weeks.
Right.
And then the next one comes in. That is my promise to all those folks. So if you're a super talented indie developer, what would you rather do? Make a game for Amico where you're going to be the star and you don't have to port it to 7 different platforms just in hopes that maybe you sell 15 or 20,000 units. You're actually getting paid to do something you love instead of not getting paid.
Yeah.
And you get access to some of the most amazing people in the game development community that are going to help you build your team.
So
that's what Intellivision Amico is about.
So I obviously
and by the way, one last thing.
Oh yeah.
We give all of our people the dev kits. We give them those for free.
That's awesome.
Unlike all the others that charge you, these poor indie developers are getting charged thousands of dollars, sometimes even more for the dev kits. No, we give them to you for free. That's our gift to you because we want you on the system.
Right. Well, so you're talking about highlighting developers and highlighting games, and I think that is amazing. That is something that a lot of systems don't do.
Yep.
But this does bring me to a couple of questions.
Great.
And that is the fact that you are not allowing developers to put adult content on
That's right.
or M-rated content, let's say, because we don't want to talk
Not
about
even
just
teen
adult
rated. We
rated,
don't
right?
even want teen rated content. You know
But
what
you're
teen
not
rated?
allowing those developers to shine and really have their moment. You are offering it if they kind of will fall into your guidelines. If you fall into our
Yes.
guidelines, we can do it. But that's
Yes.
so restrictive to those developers that have a vision. And
Then
even
then
if it
they
is
can.
not adult rated, if it's M rated or T rated,
Yeah.
you're kind of alienating those developers in a sense. It is your vision. I'm not here to argue about your
Yeah.
vision and your design. Definitely not. But
Yeah.
even just by not including M rating games, you kind of
Uh-huh.
are alienating a very large spending portion of the gaming market. That's
That's
not
okay.
worrying to you. You're not worried about
No.
how developers will perceive you.
No, not at all.
No?
Those developers, they can make their, they can put, their artistic, violent, creative, sexual, bad language, mild violence, whatever. They have tons of outlets for that. They have PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, mobile. The system that has the most violent content on it, by the way, is the Nintendo Switch. That's a fact. They
Right.
they 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 don't, the stuff that Sony and
Yeah.
Microsoft limits, Nintendo actually doesn't.
But
So,
Nintendo, for quite a few years, was not allowing developers to kind of shine with that content. They, restricted what was going on to the Nintendo consoles. They were censoring developers, telling them, "Hey, you can't put this game on our console unless you change it."
and now
And they have changed in the past couple of years, and now
well,
the
they've
Switch
changed for
is
the,
different.
in my opinion, they've changed for the
And
worse.
in my opinion, they changed for the better, and that's
Yeah.
perfectly
Oh
fine.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
definitely.
I mean, and the
I
reason I say they've changed for the worse is because I've never seen such vile, disturbing, I'm talking child pornography, rape, death, murder. Like, this is crazy. And if a mom doesn't know about this and doesn't set her parental controls, I mean, my gosh, I,
but
I would I would hate the idea of young kids seeing this stuff. But I totally understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong.
right,
I agree. Like, I'm not a censor person, a censored type of person at all. I fight for the rights
right.
for
You may not
developers
enjoy them, but
to create whatever they want. But it's like this. What we're doing is we're kind of creating Disneyland. And we're not going to open up a strip joint in Disneyland. We're not going to open up a bar at Disneyland, right? Because you can open a bar and a strip joint or whatever. You can do all that stuff in a bunch of different places, but we want to create a family environment. We want to create a safe environment. And if people, if people feel limited, look, I can tell you this. We have hundreds of developers who want to create games for us. So we're not at a loss at all because we're not opening our system to everyone. We're not going to do 1,000 games a week or even 1,000 games a year. I would rather have 50 epic quality developers who churn out a game a year. That
but
gives us 50 games, one new game every week. We're fine with that because for us, it's more about quality as opposed to quantity.
but there are plenty of M-rated games and T-rated games that are high quality that
Oh,
people
for
put
sure.
years of work into. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
And people can play those on the Switch.
right, and Nintendo has created, high quality M-rated games since the
Yep,
GameCube. And if Nintendo did not have that M-rated content, they would be alienating a huge amount of gamers, and the Switch certainly would
that's
not
right.
be as
But see
successful as
what you
it is
but,
today.
but see what you just said there? They're alienating gamers.
No, they
But
would be if they did
right,
not allow the specific content
exactly. But
on.
who is Amico targeting?
Right, you are
Families.
targeting families.
Right. So
Correct.
so if we piss off hardcore gamers because they feel like they're not murdering enough on our system, then that's fine because the amount of families and people who don't want that stuff, they way, way, way outnumber the folks who do.
Right.
For our target audience,
Yeah.
you ask a mom, a young mother, would she rather have a system for her 8-year-old or 10-year-old, would she rather have a system that has violent content or that does not?
But parental controls exist, and even companies like Nintendo are 100% confident in those parental controls. Yeah,
That I'm going to disagree with you 100%
okay,
on, and I'll push back a little bit on that, because if you're a non-gamer,
yes,
you're a mom who never plays a video game, and you try to set the parental controls on some of these systems, it's a joke. In fact, here's something interesting for you. If you look on the Nintendo YouTube page,
yes,
and they have parental controls,
yes.
they have videos about the parental controls, notice that the comments are turned off for that video. It's one of the only videos that they have the comments turned off.
Right.
I mean, it's difficult. It's not easy to do. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever sent the parental controls for a Switch? Be honest.
I have, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you think so? You know what you have to go through.
But maybe for me, it's not as difficult because
That's
I'm
my point.
comfortable
So,
with. But Google exists.
Do you think
People,
a non-gamer,
right?
A mom, a 50-year-old mom who's never played a video game, how easy would it be for her to set those controls? You know?
Right, fair enough. But I do also kind of question what happens if there is a father or even a mother that wants to play more maybe M-rated games. Maybe they want to play Doom. Maybe they want to play Wolfenstein.
Right.
But why would they? But that would maybe, I would assume, cause problems in regards to that, because they don't want to buy two consoles. If they want to maybe play this game that is M-rated, they would have to buy another console. So why would they just not buy like the Switch that offers all of it?
If they like those style of games, then yeah, they shouldn't buy an Amico.
Right.
If they're looking to play Doom and Fortnite and Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption and all that stuff, and they only have money for one console to get, then they should not buy Amico. Yeah,
right.
That I'll be the first one to admit it.
Yeah.
But our data and research shows us that that's not the case at all. That young families don't want violence in their home when they can. You know, that they're always trying to protect their children and what they're watching and what they're viewing. It's the reason why YouTube Kids exists and why Amazon does a special version of their pad that's only for games. It's why Disney Plus exists, right? I mean, look at the numbers that Disney Plus is doing, because parents know that they can go into kids mode and they don't have to worry about it. It's one less thing that they don't have to worry about.
But that's what parental controls in a sense are for, because they block the content that you don't want your kid to see. So you put them in that special mode.
That's the great thing about Amico, is they don't have to even worry about it. It's always safe. And again, if they want to play, if you want to play violent games, there's everything else does it. We just don't.
Right. I mean, I am someone that plays, M-rated games, T-rated games, but I am also a lover of, E for Everyone games and E10 and up games. I play both, but I'm just trying to see it from the point of view of maybe there's a 40-year-old father that, wants to introduce their 10-year-old to video games, but they want it to be able to be used through the years. They want to say, I'm going to buy this $200, $300 console, but in 2 years when he's a little older, maybe we could bump up the rating and allow him to play teen games and M games, and we don't have to buy a new console because his interests change.
Yeah, and then the Amico console is not for that.
At least you are willing to kind of admit that, you are going hard on, what you believe in.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Folks who want that kind of content are probably better off getting a PlayStation, because it won't be on our system, and the bet we're willing to make, and the research that we've done is way more in our favor than the other, because and what I mean by that is parents are loving the fact. I can show you video footage of 50 moms in a room, non-gamer moms in a room. I mean, they play mobile devices. 50 moms in a room, and we pitch them and say, what's the coolest thing about this console? Is it the price? Is it the games? every time they're like,
Yeah.
the fact that there's not violent material on there for my kids, that's the single most important thing to them, you
Right.
know. But yeah, but it's a, like I said, it's a different thing, and the great thing is people have options, lots of different
Right,
options.
right. You offer so many different types of games. I completely understand what you're saying.
We
It
need to be
just seems a
different, you
little
know.
bit, it just seems a little bit limiting, especially to developers, but also to Intellivision revenue streams. So many people, casually buy those types of games, and it is limiting, but I do understand where you are coming from.
So let me ask you this: do you know how many games out of all the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of games that come out every year around the world, do you know how many of those are either E for everyone or E10 plus, which is the two things what percentage of all the games out there are E10 and E10 plus, if you
You,
had to guess? I know the answer, but I'm curious to see how close you get.
I'm not sure. 40%.
Okay, that's going to blow you away and hopefully
Is
open
it
your
like a
mind a little.
10%? Am I completely off,
No,
or?
no, no. You're off in the wrong direction.
Oh,
90%
right.
of all video games that come out are rated E for
I
everyone or
guess I
E
guess with
plus
like the
10.
mobile market too and having those E for everyone games, I guess I could see that. Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's my point, is that
Right.
if 90% of the games that already come out are already under our
Right.
umbrella, then we're not worried that the 10% that aren't. And if for people just to know, just so they can, don't think I'm just making stuff up, you can go to theesa.com. ESA is the Entertainment Software
Yep,
Association,
I do
and they
know
have
them.
all the amazing stats about
Right.
all this. You'll learn things you never knew
Yep. I
existed.
check
Like
them
here's a
fairly
couple.
often for videos because I do talk about censorship and developers and kind of
Yeah.
their environment. And I do, talk about the ESA and whatnot from time to time. So, yeah.
And you know what another interesting stat is, that you might be super, especially being a woman, you're gonna love this stat I'm about to tell you. Not a lot of folks realize this. Again, let's play the guessing game. So the industry was $140 billion in 2018. They're saying it's going to be probably about 155 to 160 billion last year in
Which
2019.
I do just want to point out how many of those top selling games were M-rated games though. And how many
Well,
were also E for everyone? That's something I've never looked up. I didn't look it up for
yeah.
last year.
It's a very small portion.
Yeah.
I mean, games like Candy Crush are
Right.
like making 100 times more revenue. Like I said, there's Call of Duty.
Right.
But you know what the number one selling console game in the world is?
What?
It's FIFA Soccer. No violent.
Right. Yep, fair
E
enough.
for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
E for everyone.
Right.
Every driving game you've played, every sports game you've ever played, Madden Football, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Look at every Nintendo first party game, Zelda, Mario, you name it. Wii Sports, Wii Bowling, Tetris, Roblox, Minecraft, all of these. The only game in the top 10 that is rated M is Grand Theft Auto
Right.
5.
Right.
But anyway, so here's one for you though.
Yeah.
So that $140 billion industry,
Yeah.
how much of that money, now I'm not talking about hours played or anything like that, but how much of that money is spent by women? I want you to guess percentage wise. Give me a percentage wise. How much is and maybe all your folks
I
in the
mean,
chat can guess too.
the speculation is like the gaming world is made up of what, 50% women, 40% women. So I would go for like a 40-50, maybe even a 60% if we're going on the slightly higher side.
Brace yourself. Are you ready? And by the way, you're gonna love this number, and I hope you brag about it from now on.
If you say 90%,
It's 80%.
oof.
80%. Now let's talk about this and understand why. The reason that number is 80%, and again, I didn't say who played. When you talk about players
Right.
in the world, the actual latest number is that it's 51% male and 49%
Right.
female. That's gamers, and again, it's because of this, right?
Right.
The consoles it goes higher for male. Console and PC, consoles goes the highest for male. PCs, it kind of goes like this,
Yeah.
but mobile, it actually goes like this. There's more women that play mobile games.
Oh yes, definitely. I have talked
than
about
men.
that before. 100%. There's
Yeah.
quite a big gap there, actually.
So think about that.
Yeah.
80% of the money that's being spent. Well, one, like I said, 55% of that is spent through mobile of that industry.
Right.
And most mobile games the money is being spent by women. Guys are kind of stubborn sometimes. They're like, I'll just wait and play. But like my wife, she's like, oh my God, I got to get the unicorn now. Like, she's not waiting a week.
She sees a flashy thing and she swipes the credit card. You can't blame her. You can't blame her.
She wants it now, and that's fine.
Yeah, it's the 21st century bling. That's what it is. Yeah.
I love that. And so, but who is the person in the household who's in charge of buying the games at Christmas, at buying the games for birthday, at buying the game? The moms. The moms, for the most part, are the folks in the household that make those entertainment money decisions. So that's why the number is so high to female. And so again, isn't this interesting? No one in a million years would have thought that 80% of the people buying video games are women. Again, I'm not saying played.
I thought that stat was high, but I didn't know it was that high, actually.
Crazy,
you
right?
learn something every day. Yeah, definitely.
And again, now remember my go-to-market strategy.
Right.
Remember our strategy. How many TV commercials, and there are a few, I don't want to say there's none, but for the most part, video games are marketed to men.
Right.
Right? Yet,
I do think that in the past couple of years, it has definitely evened out. It definitely has.
It's been getting better. And so what we're doing, but how many, and it's been getting better because you're talking about mobile ads that you see all the time, right? Let me ask you this question. How many game console ads, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, have you seen targeted to women?
I mean,
even less, right?
Right,
even
right.
Less.
But I don't necessarily think a ad needs to be targeted towards a woman for her to want to purchase the game or the console.
Towards families, let's say towards families.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
And so that, again, that's our thing. Our idea is that we want to pay attention to those people because, you know, what we get from our retailers, like GameStop is a perfect example, and Walmart, where GameStop says, you know, where are most GameStops? There's 3,500 stores still. Right. And they're all located in malls. Well, who's shopping in malls between the hours of 9 o'clock in the morning and 3 in the afternoon?
Right.
It's moms with little kids. And what they do is they have to watch moms walk by their store. And when they look over at the store, they kind of like give them a dirty look. You know, it's like, oh, games. That's what takes my husband away from me every night. That's what my kids are all the time playing on the, you know, like a lot of times young moms have a negative, a negative view of video games. Why? Because they'll play Candy Crush on their own, but they're not invited to play Fortnite with dad and the teenage son, right?
Right.
They're not into that. They're not, a lot of women, you know, for the most part aren't into, they always say, boys like to destroy, women like to create, right?
I've definitely heard that saying, yeah.
Right? And you might be different though. You might be different. And so that's the reality is, you know, and then if a mom does happen to walk into a GameStop with their 4-year-old or with their 5-year-old little girl, and she says, hey, do you have anything for us? Do you have anything for my daughter to play? You know what GameStop says?
What?
No, they don't. Right? Because in the old days, they used to be able to sell them edutainment on the PC or this and that, right?
But I definitely think that there are plenty of alternative games out there that are, you know, friendlier to younger children, as you said.
Name one for a 5-year-old.
I'm not sure because I don't know that market. Well, I don't know that market, right?
And name one for a 5-year-old that's in a store. I guess that's my point. Retail, like being in retail You know what I mean? Like
Right.
when you're
Okay.
like, there's a lot of indie games that you can download edutainment stuff for
Right, there
this
are
all day
games that are
long.
marketed directly for kids though and created just for kids. There's educational games, there are sports games that are very easy to play. I mean,
And none
even
of
with
them
the
are.
Wii, I mean, look back at the Wii, you had all those sports games that were
That
very
was
easy. You swung your arm and it was
Yep.
done.
And that was 14 years ago, and that doesn't exist at retail anymore.
I mean,
So
there are
there's
plenty of sports games and games that are, made for younger audiences. And I obviously don't play most of those games, but there are like
again,
sports games. I
I
mean,
I have a challenge for you. I want you to go into GameStop or go into Walmart or Target. Again, I'm not talking Amazon. I'm not talking digital stores. I'm talking about retail, right?
yes.
I want you to go into GameStop and say, "What do you have for a 5-year-old girl?"
I will do it. I will
Do it.
do it and I will post it on Twitter. I
Excellent.
100% will. And I will see what their answer is just to be fair, to really see. I will do it with multiple GameStops though because sometimes
Yeah,
you have those employees that are just like,
exactly.
you just
And
pick a
again,
game.
and again,
Right.
if there is something, it's like maybe one thing. But
Right, they
again,
don't point out a lot. Usually I feel like if you said a 5-year or anyone under the age of 10, they'd go to Nintendo. I think they would
well,
do that. And they go
Roblox,
to
Minecraft.
Mario and they would go to maybe Zelda if you said a 10 or
Yeah, I
11
mean,
year old.
again, the numbers show that like the Switch, you're starting to get into the Switch at like 7, 8, 9 years old. Roblox is 7,
Oh,
8,
Roblox,
9.
which we will discuss in a couple
Roblox
of
is like
minutes.
7,
Yeah.
9 year olds, but there's
Right,
nothing. Again, be very specific at GameStop. Say 4, 5, 6 year olds.
right,
Because remember what I said earlier. 65
right.
million households between the ages of 2 and 7, and GameStop and retail has nothing to sell those families.
Fair enough. I do think that they've created things like the Amiibos, which were kind of targeted towards younger audiences. Like there's Super Lucky's Tale. That's a pretty kid-friendly game. There's like Little Big Planet. Those are pretty kid-friendly games.
Not for a 5-year-old, though. A 5-year-old
Eh,
can't even put their hands on a PlayStation controller.
right. Fair enough. Fair enough. There's also that too is kind of the accessibility of consoles and
I
controllers and
love this
whatnot.
interview. Yeah, I love this interview. I love our dialogue here,
Yeah.
this is so great because you have some great challenging questions. You have an amazing a point of view, and we're having this is just a great discussion.
Unfortunately, it's not a very just a bland interview where I go, "Hi, what's your name? It's nice
Yeah,
to
right.
meet
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Tell me your
No, I
life
love it.
story."
Keep it coming.
So
Keep it coming.
I guess I have one more question in the world of
Yeah.
like M-rated games and in just games for the console, and then we can talk about Roblox.
Okay.
Was it a personal decision to not have M-rated content on the system, or was it just a big business decision? Because you did go into creating the Amico, it sounds like, with a planned point of view.
Mhm.
Was it ever on the table that you all were going to maybe create M-rated games, allow M-rated
Never.
games?
No, never.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. The two biggest things that I want to give that is the most important thing, and I tell this to all our folks at Intellivision all the time. The two biggest things for me in regards to our consumers
Yeah.
is trust and value. Those are the two things. If I can provide trust and value to millions of people, then we've won.
Right.
Then we've won. The games have to be great. Yes, the games have to be fun. Absolutely. You know, but if we can create trust and value, and again with families, and so not having that, when you take, when you take a young child to go see a Disney movie,
Yeah.
you don't have to think about it like, oh, is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? You just know when you take your child to Disneyland, you're not going to have to worry about it, cover their eyes, earmuffs, whatever, And so that's kind of, what we wanted to do is that
Right.
young families out there, again, check out the data. The number one thing that parents worry about
Right.
is the content that their children are getting. And it's easy to say, oh, let's just set the parental controls on the Switch. You know how smart kids are. all you have to
Right.
do is put in Nintendo parental control switch and how to disarm it, and you'll get 1,000 videos up. You'll get 100 articles
Right.
on 100 videos on YouTube, and 1,000. There's ways around it. The kids are smarter than the parents when it comes to technology. Let's face it.
Fair
Right?
enough. Yeah.
And
I definitely think that you've kind of answered my questions about that. I feel they're so important because I do,
yeah,
talk about M-rated content and E for everyone content. And, I
yeah.
see markets that are going to look at E3 and watch E3 and go, what is that? What is that system? What do you have to offer me? But I definitely think that the Amico has kind of that value, and you're definitely so dedicated to the vision that you had, and that to me is so important because you, in this whole interview and all the interviews I've seen, you've never wavered from kind of what you wanted to do with it, and that's
You know,
commendable, definitely.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that, and I
definitely.
think too that it's super important for us
Yeah,
that we are unique, because I don't have $1 billion. I can't go. We don't have thousands of employees around the world and thousands of offices with tens of thousands. That's what Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo
right.
have, right?
Yeah,
I cannot compete with them on their level.
right.
We need to have a super
Committed
focused message,
basis.
and we
Right.
need to be different.
Yeah,
We need to be super.
yeah,
It's the only way we kind of carve out our own little niche here, right?
yeah.
And so, being the only console that doesn't allow violence, and being the only console
It's
that every game
unique.
is 10 last, being the only console that comes with multiple controllers and you can hook up to 8 devices to it, being the only console that focuses on family and friends getting together and making sure that no matter how hardcore or non-hardcore you are, you can still compete together. Having a controller that's so unique, color touchscreen, gyroscope, accelerometer, speaker, microphone, wireless charging,
Yeah.
force feedback, RFID. These are the kind of things. Let me tell you one thing about the RFID. I can take my controller, I can go over your house, I can tap it on your machine,
Yep.
and now we can play all of my games on your system.
See, that's unique and
How
interesting. That's
cool
cool.
is that?
Right. I mean,
How cool is
it
that?
is cool, and I see a lot of people in chat saying, from everything that I've heard as a parent, I'm sold, and I'm not a parent, obviously, and
Mhm.
I am interested in it, and I am kind of sold on it. Even though I play, M-rated games and I play those games, I'm still intrigued by it because your
Yeah,
message is so strong and it's so unique.
great.
So yeah.
Cool.
All right, so I think that we should discuss finally. Oof.
Oof.
You do it much better than I do. So this is kind of the conversation that sparked this interview and really sparked us talking. Roblox
Yeah.
and the famous oof sound. Why don't you kind of explain the
Everything.
situation, what the oof sound is, and what Roblox did with it for anyone that does not know? Because I have talked about it on the channel before.
Sure, and I can give you an up-to-minute update as
Yeah,
of
for
a
sure.
few hours ago.
Go for it. Yeah.
And so again, we're dropping exclusives here.
Give us the hot takes, my friend.
Dropping exclusives.
Yeah.
Here's the situation. I did this game Messiah. We did it in 1999. We did the sound design for it. The game came out in early 2000. Back then, things were kind of, the internet, people, would pull sounds from things and they'd put them on websites, and kind of like what we're seeing now with YouTube. Right? I mean, or like YouTube from like 7 or 8 or 10 years ago, right? Where just anyone would put up anything and it was kind of like the Wild West.
Right.
So Roblox, they didn't go out like, oh, we're going to take this sound. They had no idea.
Right.
They had zero idea. And so, what they had said publicly is that they had purchased a CD-ROM that had sounds on it
Right.
that were said to be royalty free.
Ooh, yeah.
So that was, that was, gosh, because again, I'm not angry at they didn't purposely do anything.
Right. It's not like they said, "Oh, that guy Tommy Tellarico.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
find one
We
of
like
his
his
sounds.
sound.
Let's skim through them and let's find some way to rip this guy
Exactly.
off."
Or it's not like they're like, like on The Simpsons, you got dope, right? It's like,
Right.
wow, that's a really popular sound. Let's take
Right.
Homer's dope and
Right.
put it in our game. No, they thought they were doing everything the correct way. Great.
Right.
So come to find out last summer that obviously the CD-ROM that they had purchased way back when, 14 years ago, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
obviously it wasn't the case because I never did license that sound.
Right.
And a lot of these type of CD-ROMs actually do exist.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
And so where they don't have the rights, they're like, no one's paying attention. Who's going to know? But so I approached Roblox and I said, hey, we have a situation, my metadata is actually on the sound that you've now distributed to hundreds of millions of
For
people.
how many years? 15 years almost?
For 15 years.
Right.
And not only that, I mean, if it was like some footstep sound that no one even paid attention
Right.
to or whatever, it wouldn't
But
be a deal.
it's such an iconic sound to Roblox. We see PewDiePie videos with, the oof sound, and we see it, put
that was my
online
point.
in hundreds of thousands of videos with hundreds of thousands of people to see.
And that was my point, is
Right.
to say, this has really kind of become a part of pop culture.
Yeah.
It's become a part of, how many, there were hundreds of millions of memes, right?
Yeah.
How many people found out about the game Roblox because of the
Right,
oof
right,
sound?
because they heard it, or because they, that one of their kids, or maybe their nieces or nephews just was constantly doing the oof sound. It was like, where the hell did that come from?
Exactly. So because it kind of became such, I mean, there's oof pillowcases and oof bed sheets.
I
and
should
oof
I should
t-shirts.
buy some merchandise and just replace everything behind me. It's just like a giant oof on the wall.
Yeah.
I should do that.
And so that was, so my conversation and our attorneys with their attorneys were to like, look, there should be some compensation for this, and it's not going to be like $10, because this is something that, again, hundreds of millions of people were given for free. And again, think of it like, what if it was the lightsaber sound from Star Wars, or what if it was Homer Simpson's dope, right? It's very short, it's very simple,
but it's catchy and you remember it.
But it belongs to somebody, right? And so that's how the dialogue started. I had a number, or my attorneys and my team had a number that we thought it was worth. Roblox had a number that they thought it was worth.
Right.
And so that's where kind of the rub
That
became,
disconnect.
because they were so far away. They weren't even in the same universe. And I'm not at liberty to discuss what the numbers are.
But I mean, I'm sure you're not asking for $100 million or $50 million.
That was the rumor that went around.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. The
was,
rumor's like Tommy Tellarico suing Roblox for $100 million.
He's going to put him out of business.
I know. I was like, okay, I think that's maybe written by a Roblox player here.
Well, you know what's even more funny about that is, if you know anything about Roblox, the company, they're worth $2.5 billion.
I know. I didn't know that until I started looking into this. I'm like, holy shit. Oh my gosh.
I sued them for $100 million.
It wouldn't dent them. They'd be like, oh, that's chump change. Come on now, do better.
But no, it's not even it's not even close to $100 million.
Right.
But here's the great news. The great news is that Roblox wants to work this out with me. I want to work this out with Roblox.
But it doesn't truly sound like they want to work it out with you. It sounds so obviously we do not know like the conversations, but it sounds like you're saying they, there is that difference in, money, or just trying to work it out, and it just sounds like they really don't want to work it out. They're fighting back.
So here's the great news, is that we've now come to we've figured out a way that makes everybody happy, including the fans of Roblox. So instead of saying, I want this and they want to pay that. Instead of going that route, because that wasn't getting us anywhere,
Right.
we said, you know what? Because, and again, we've had the most delightful conversations. It's online things sometimes
Right,
get heated.
right, you don't get sarcasm, you don't get that emotion, you don't get like
That's
the
right.
genuine like I'm sorry, like I really didn't mean to do this type of thing through a
Yeah,
text conversation.
exactly. And they have their stance and I have my
Right.
stance, and then it's all the people in the middle on Twitter that's like pitting us against each
Right.
other and blah blah.
Right.
You know, and so you know but the reality is that when we come together and talk, it's all like we're best buddies. And hey, how can we let's work together, let's work this out. I say it, they say it. Okay, let's come up with a way where it's beneficial for everyone.
Right. Right.
Beneficial for them, beneficial for me, but most importantly beneficial for the Roblox community.
Right.
And so we are structuring something that is just that.
But
And
that's
it's going to be
progress, and
great.
that's what's good about it. It's not, I know at the beginning of this, you were getting threats and you were getting attacked by the
Oh.
Roblox community, and you were just getting so, like, violently attacked online and on social media.
And that to me, that's kind of why. That's why I kind of reacted on Twitter the way I did. Was that I
Well, you were
wanted to
defensive, and that's
I wanted to
okay.
let Roblox know
Right.
that because this situation wasn't coming together, because of that, I was now getting hate in
Right.
my career, which I've 30 years of sound
I'm
design.
sure you've
and
never
my
experienced, hate like that or, been attacked
Well, you'd be
like that.
surprised, but yeah.
Well,
I was
when
on
you
G4
have,
for a while, so yeah.
$2.5 billion
this was,
worth of kids getting angry with you and teenagers getting angry with you.
and that's the thing is that they a bunch of folks thought that I was going to end their game Roblox and I was going to put them out of business, and how dare I, and I hate you,
Right.
and this and that. But I got to say this though. I got to say this. I got to give credit where credit's due, which is the majority of the Roblox community, because it's always the loudest,
Right.
squawkiest ones that people make the most noise. But the
Right.
reality is that the overwhelming numbers of Roblox community
Yeah.
were actually super cool and super
Right.
nice.
Right.
And I would get hundreds of emails or direct messages on Twitter saying, we're so embarrassed, we're so sorry. Don't think that's
Right.
the
That doesn't
typical-
represent us in our
doesn't
community
represent
and
us
the
as a
people that
community.
really love it.
Exactly.
Right.
But but that's the thing. So my kind of anger or disappointment on Twitter was more about, hey, this isn't fair to me.
Right.
Like, I'm
Right.
the one who created the sound.
Right. It's
I'm
not
an
fair to
innocent
you.
bystander
Right.
in this whole thing, and now you're all this hate towards me. But wait, I'm the creator of the sound, and I own the sound. What
Right,
insanity is this? Why are you mad at me?
Right. I mean, I talk about, freedom of expression and, fair use on my channel so much, especially when it comes to
Yeah.
games. And that's why this was such an important topic to me, because there was so much misinformation right from the bat. You said that, there were issues, and then, $100 million lawsuit coming towards Roblox. And
Yeah.
it's just so much misinformation that people truly didn't understand.
And then it would go, well, you don't own it. You
Right.
show it. You don't have a contract for it. And so
Right.
I'd give them my contract. I posted online.
I
I'm like,
saw
"Oh,
that, yeah.
Here's my contract. Oh, well, you didn't file for a copyright. So first of all, just to let you know how copyright works, the second I create the sound, I own the copyright. The only reason you need to register a copyright in Washington is when you're suing someone, right? And so that's the only reason you need it. So our
Right.
attorneys filed for copyright in case it ever got that far, and we hope it doesn't, and we know it's not going to. So we're everyone's cool.
Right.
But still, we filed for it last summer, and so they're like, you didn't file for it. I'm like, here's the filing.
Yeah, because you found out about it in June, right? That's really when it came to your attention that they were
Yeah.
using it, and like, oh wow, this is really in this $1 billion game.
Exactly.
Right.
And so then I showed that, and they're like, "Oh, it's a fake document because correspondence was spelled wrong." And again,
Ooh,
it was our attorney's mistake because it's this is an official document. We're like, no, it's not an official document. This is
right.
something our attorneys wrote up
Right.
and gave to. There could have been 100 spelling errors on there. It wouldn't have made a difference. This
Right.
is something that came from us. It's a fake document. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
See, that's the problem is so many people just like instantly assume, the person that they don't know is in the wrong, and all of these Roblox players maybe didn't know who you were, and they
So I was,
instantly assumed
and I,
you were the bad guy. Like how
and that's right.
Roblox would never do anything bad to us like that. They're
And
saints.
and that's what I was hoping is that you know what maybe I can use this as a teaching moment for for younger kids because like you said, the Roblox community is a younger community. Um,
Right.
you know, we grew up, or I grew up in a time when you know the way to steal music was you went into the record store and you stole it.
Right. Right.
you know, it's like, but now with the digital world and the way things are, and like it's not even considered stealing because it's just something that everybody does and passes along. So I'm
Right.
like, you know what, maybe this can be a teaching moment where no, you can't just take stuff off the
Right. Someone
internet
created
and
it.
use it and make money off it,
Right.
and it's the YouTube thing generation. And so that was kind of, but anyway, the great news is that me and Roblox are super friendly. We're working it out. We'll hopefully have a big announcement coming soon that's going to be beneficial to everyone.
Right. That's awesome. I really hope that it gets worked out and it really benefits you both because that's what matters, and it also matters to the fans of the game. But
Yeah.
mostly, I mean, I don't want to say mostly, but it really matters because of you because you were the one that created it. You deserve that recognition, definitely.
Yeah, and that's what was so
Yeah.
curious to me is like, gosh, I'm kind of like the guy who created the sound that you love so much.
Why don't you respect me a little bit
Why are you
more?
hating me?
Right.
Yeah, like
Right.
wouldn't you say, "Oh wow, you're the guy who tell us about how you did that," But
Right.
instead it's like, "I hate you, you die, you bastard,"
Yeah.
Like,
People are
that,
vicious.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was again, a lot of immaturity at that level. I get it, but it's like the other thing I was thinking was like, isn't the minimum age on Twitter supposed to be like 12 or 13?
It's supposed to be 13, though people,
I don't
children
think there
use
were
parents'
13-year-olds.
accounts, and,
I was going to say, there's no way that Twitter needs to crack down on that a little more because there was no way that some of these things I were getting were from 13-year-olds.
Right.
No,
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's mainly all of the questions
that
that I
was
had to
2
ask you.
hours.
I
You
know,
did pretty
but
good.
it's going to be a little bit longer for everyone that is in chat. Thank you for stopping by. If you have any questions for me or Tommy, definitely ask them now. We will
I was going to
take
say,
a little bit.
yes.
Yeah,
Let's
definitely.
let's go to the chat line.
Yeah, this is an interview for a reason. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. And, maybe Tommy will ignore them because he doesn't like you.
No, that's not true. That's now you're giving me a bad rap again.
No. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So let's see. We'll wait till I'm going to catch up because I know we're on a little bit of a delay here, but
Yeah, just a little bit. I don't have any stream delay, though YouTube loves to give you stream delay.
that's what it is. Because I'm watching. I'm looking at YouTube
Yeah.
here.
Will B-17 Bomber get a remake?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yes.
And we're doing something with all of the controllers that has never been done before in the video game industry. That's a perfect example of we're doing something that can't be done on any other system.
Right.
Imagine everybody in your group controlling a different part. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
How many games are finished? That's a good question.
None of them. None
Oh,
of them are
man.
finished.
Really?
No.
Oh. I
No,
mean,
we
we
still
do
got a
still
long way to
have,
go.
7 months almost now, right? Until
Yeah,
October,
yeah.
so. It is, the Amico is releasing just a few days before my birthday, so that's
all right. You're getting one. Okay.
oh,
Lock and
yeah.
Chase, yes, Lock and Chase is on the list. Says Lackey 3211. That won't be on launch, but it's on our list. Dungeons and Dragons, yes, absolutely, Lackey. 100% Dungeons and Dragons is coming. Frog Bog is getting a remake, and it will be available on launch.
Ooh.
Um,
Lots of questions
do you,
about games.
do you fear that even though you have a system of highlighting game releases, that your eShop could end up looking overcrowded? No,
Ooh.
not at all. That's the great thing about Intellivision is that we're going to come out with about 30 to 40 games on launch, and then a new game every like 2 or 3 weeks, or 7 to 10 days, 7 to 14 days. We're not exactly sure yet, but no, it's not going to be crowded at all. And wait till you see our menu system and the way things are organized. It's so simple and easy and such a breath of
Yeah.
fresh air from all the stuff we're used to. Ethan, what kind of conclusion are you coming to for the oof sound, if you don't mind? Okay, I think we just kind of went
Right.
over that. You can read them off to me too, because it's
Oh,
been a bunch of
you're doing great. Go for it.
Okay.
You know, a lot of the questions are
Um,
for you, and that's what matters. I mean,
I
you're the
got a
guest
question
here.
for Tommy. If you cross a time zone between the Pacific Ocean, where it's the day before your birthday in Australia, where it's a day. That's right. See, this guy knows. I
Yeah.
always tell the story about when I was turning 30. I was having like a really bad time of it. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to turn 30. Now I wish I could turn 30. Oh, I don't want to turn 30. I don't want to turn 30. So when I was, my birthday is on February 18th. So
Oh,
what I
happy
did
early
when I,
birthday.
well, yeah,
Unfortunate. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said happy birthday. You might be bothered by that.
I
Yeah.
don't, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
at
yeah.
this
Brush
point,
it
who cares?
off. Yeah.
So on February 17th, I got on a plane because I'd never been to Australia and I always wanted to go to Australia.
Ooh.
I get on a plane, and this is before 9/11 and all this stuff. I literally went to the airport, no reservations, just by myself,
Right.
bought a ticket at the counter,
Ooh.
got on the plane on
Fly
February
by night.
17th,
Yeah.
landed in Sydney on February 19th,
Right.
crossing the international date line, thereby never officially ever having my 30th birthday. And you can't turn 31 unless you're 30. So if you ask me how
Right.
old I am, I'm going to tell you I'm 29 years
I really like that answer. That is a good damn
old.
answer.
Let me see. Okay, when will we learn about the controller features? So if you go on our YouTube channel, on Intellivision's YouTube channel, we have this series called Meet Amico, and every couple of weeks we talk. We've been doing a lot. The first two were about the controller. I'm actually uploading a new one tomorrow about the controller, and actually I'll tell again. We're dropping bombs here tonight. I'm going to give you
Yes.
another exclusive, which is what we're going to be showing. And again, this is how our console differs from everything else. Something as simple as this. We're going to be showing the controller, and you're going to have dice on the controller. So imagine games like Yahtzee or Farkle or any dice games, a Dungeons and Dragon game.
Right.
Um, and you can hold the controller, and when it's your turn, and you can shake the controller, and it's rumbling, and you're hearing the sound of the dice on coming out of the speaker, and you're seeing the dice
Ooh.
move, and then you go like this, and you throw them up, and they come up on the screen. How
That's
cool is
cool.
this?
Fun fact, I own like maybe 1,000 dice.
What?
I'm obsessed. I have bags of dice because I worked at a local like comic book store
Gamers,
and a
yeah.
local game store for quite a few years. So I'd take some
What is your
dice, take
most
some
expensive?
dice.
What's your most expensive pair of dice? Do you,
Uh, I don't own some of the classics like Chessex Borealis, which are $500. Would love a
whoa.
pair. Would love a pair, but I own like a $200 set of dice. I
Okay,
own.
you hear that, fans out there? Her birthday's coming up. First, you got to get her an Amico, but then
Yes,
get her
yes.
some 500 dice.
Yeah, yeah. No, Amico's definitely the first on the list, I do think.
Let me see what else. Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, what they say. Do you fear that even though you have a system of highlighting game releases? Oh wait, I did that one.
Right.
Okay. What about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons? Said that. Oh yeah, there was the Australia question. When will the pre-order be available on Monday? Ben Warner asks. 1 p.m. Pacific. The only way you're going to be able to get the 2600 though, because we're only doing very limited machines, they'll probably go quick. The only way is if you go on our website or go on our mailing list. because we're going to have a
Right,
special
right.
link. So you have to sign up to our mailing
I
list in
did link
television.
the website in chat, so if you guys are
Awesome.
interested in that, please, of course, go and check it out. This is actually a good question. Tommy, would you be upset if the Amico is mildly successful but only appeals to people that are simply looking for classics reimagined?
Oh no, no. Look. I'm putting this out
You're
into the world,
hopeful,
and the
right?
team is putting it out into the world, and you know, if retro gamers are the only ones who love it and play it, I'm a happy person. I'm creating a machine that I want myself too, and yeah, look, in the phrase mildly successful is the word successful.
Successful, yes,
So
yes.
I'm okay with my. And by the way, what is mildly successful? Well, if the PlayStation
We can't compare it to
4,
the PlayStation 4. We can't
if, if
compare
the
it to,
if, no,
those
but
consoles.
wait, but yeah, but if the PlayStation 4 sells 110
Is
million
that
units, the
mildly
Switch
successful?
sells
Right.
50 million
Right.
units, the Xbox sells
Oof.
30 million units, and if I'm mildly successful and we sell 5 million units, I got news for you. That's more than mildly successful. That's like amazing. We would shatter everyone's,
Right.
because again, we're the underdog, right? I hope everybody out there, you got to look at us and say, you know what, we got to root for these guys.
Yeah.
They're the underdog. They're trying to do something new and unique, put something positive into the world. That's what we're trying to do,
Right.
and we're like, we feel like Rocky Balboa in here. We're going up
Ooh.
against the biggest and the best,
Yeah.
but we're
But you're
trying to do our own
hopeful.
thing.
Right, you're hopeful and you're still trying. You're not just going to give up because, oh yeah, the Nintendo Switch exists or
Exactly.
because
And
the.
we're not doing
Right.
it for money. We're
Right.
not, this isn't money
This is
driven.
passion.
I'll share some news with some people. I've been in the game industry 30 years. Like I said, worked on the greatest video games of my life. I could have retired 5 years ago.
Oh,
Trust me.
right.
Right. I mean, there's no reason for me to do this except for my passion
Right.
for in television. And I really do feel like I want to help change the world. I want to use technology to bring people back together through video games. It's the same thing I accomplished with my video games live show. People thought I was nuts. They're like, look, people who play video games don't go to a symphony. And
Right.
people who do go to a symphony, well, they certainly don't play video games.
Right.
But my idea behind Video Games Live, now the most successful symphonic show, I have 2 Guinness World
Yeah.
Records for the biggest symphony show ever and the longest running symphony
Yeah.
tour ever.
Didn't
And
you say in a live stream that you hold a Guinness record for something really random? I don't remember, but you said you hold a Guinness record. I don't remember for the life of me, but you hold a Guinness
I
record
have
for
7 of
something.
them downstairs. I have 7 of
Ooh.
them. Yeah, there's some really crazy stuff.
Ooh.
But the idea behind Video Games Live, bringing people together, even though you've never played a video game,
Right.
you can come to Video Games Live and be amazed and have such a huge appreciation for what the art of video games is.
Right.
And I got news for you. In my show, that's
Right.
that still plays, videogameslive.com. We just did our brand new website last week. See if we're coming to a theater near you. But even in that show, I have Metal Gear Solid, I have Halo. Those are
Right.
M-rated games, but
All
we don't
right.
show any violence.
Right.
We don't show any
Yeah.
violence because we want it to be for everyone.
Right.
We want a parent to be able to take their kid there. You don't have to show violence in Metal Gear to show it and represent it as an amazing piece of art, right?
Right.
The characters are amazing. The art is amazing. The music is amazing. The storyline, the characters, whether it's Final Fantasy VII or Zelda or whatever it is, right? Warcraft, the Blizzard stuff's amazing.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, right? I'm taking all of that. I brought people together, gamers and non-gamers, bring millions of them together.
Right.
To enjoy the video game industry and open to our eyes about how beautiful an industry
Yeah.
this is and how we can all do this together.
Right.
See, that's what I'm doing with Intellivision, just on a bigger scale now.
Yeah. I think it's great. Yeah.
Let me see. Mattel.
Lots of questions about Earthworm Jim 4. Many
Tell
questions.
me about it. What do you want to know?
I just keep
Yes,
seeing
Steven
Earthworm Jim
Tyler is
4.
my cousin. they asked about Steven Tyler from Aerosmith,
Yes.
who's performing at the Grammys on Sunday. I'll be
Ooh,
with him on Sunday, actually,
that's
this Sunday.
that's pretty awesome. That is
I'll
pretty
be with
awesome.
him at the Grammys, and then he has a party, and I go to the party and everything. Will there be a He-Man remake? I got so I'll say this: we are talking to Mattel, our old parent company.
Right.
We are absolutely talking to them about redoing He-Man Masters of the Universe, because they're coming out with like a new special and a new movie, and so we're bringing Masters of the Universe back.
Yeah.
We got to bring back He-Man.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a done deal yet, but we're certainly talking.
I'm hopeful. If I can sign a petition to get you He-Man, I will.
What's your favorite Intellivision game?
I'm not sure, honestly. I'm not sure.
They asked, one person asked here, Alpha Nerds Entertainment said, I saw a dolphin game in the trailer. Is that a new Echo the Dolphin?
It is, isn't it?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that is Echo the
wink,
Dolphin.
Wink,
wink.
Sidearm, you know.
But I can tell
nudge.
you that Ed Annunziata, the creator of Echo the Dolphin, has assembled, like Earthworm Jim, like we reassembled the original team. Well, Ed has assembled a lot of the original team from Echo the Dolphin, and he's working on a game for Intellivison Amico, an exclusive game. I wonder what it could be. I don't know.
Oh, who knows? Question marks in the air. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
We'll
Not much after that. Intellivision. So Earthworm Jim. So we showed our first run animation. I don't know if folks out there saw
on Twitter.
That.
Yeah.
It's on Twitter. It's on our YouTube page, Facebook. And that's kind of Earthworm Jim, the style of it. But I gotta tell you, oh my gosh, I wish I could tell you more about this. Well, you'll have to have me back on.
I will. In a couple months, when we maybe get a little bit closer
E3,
to the Amico. Yes, after E3, we can definitely we can have you back on. For sure.
Because we're going to be announcing so much stuff at E3.
I'm so excited for E3.
Oh my God! How could you sat there and not told me about that back in January?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's so many unique things that we're doing with Earthworm Jim, and people are like, "Oh, is this going to be a 2D console? It's going to be a 2D platformer, and just port it on the Switch or port it on the PlayStation, you stupid ass." And to that I say, the Earthworm Jim team, we never wanted to make the next Earthworm Jim game as a 2D platform game. In fact, if you go back and you play the original ones, we had a lot of different styles in there. We had the Bungie snot thing. We had the Andy Asteroids level. We had the Peter Puppy where you're whipping a dog. We had all these different, side games, but we were limited to what we could do back then.
Right.
But now with this controller, the reason we've never done an Earthworm Jim game in 25 years is because we haven't had a system that has been able to do the kind of humor and jokes and multiplayer that we now can do with this controller and with this system. So the Earthworm Jim that we're creating cannot be done or ported to Steam or Switch or mobile or anything.
Don't say that. There will be someone out there that tries. There will be someone that tries.
You can't do it. Just the way we were creating it. I could offline when the stream's done. I will tell you a couple of secrets if you'd like to hear it.
People are not going to like that.
When you hear it, you'll be like, "Oh my God, I totally get it." Yeah, you can't do that on any other system. But anyway.
Oh yeah. Here's a question.
Sniper Melon has a question. Here's a question about the controller.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. How many designs has it gone through?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I have over there. I have probably about 40 of them over there.
Damn.
Yeah. Here, wait. Hold on one sec. I'll get you one. Hold on. I'll get you a couple.
We're getting the 411. I was curious about how many redesigns it really went through. I was about to repeat the question. Sniper, I saw your question in chat, and I knew that was a question that I was going to answer.
I got, here's some, really super early ones. You can see how, thin they were. The disc was bigger. The screen was taller. Here's another one that was very tall. We had more of a screen at that
Yeah.
point. The buttons were kind of like here, that were different. But we found out with the longer version that young kids couldn't get their thumb all the way across and this and that. So we shortened the screen. I mean, look at the size. The screens were like super, super long, and different back then. Here's another kind of version. This is when we were starting to figure out, the back wells.
Oh, lift it up a tiny bit.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, as opposed to being like a flat, because I wanted it to design it a little bit like a bar of soap.
I was thinking about that. I was like,
so it
that's
kind of like so it curved
right.
in your hand like this.
Right, so it's comfortable. It's not uncomfortable.
So
it's not shaped odd. Right.
And so then we said, well, why don't we make like indentures, in there so that your fingers can go in there. And then, but then that, this all, and so this is the final one. I can show you. So look how far this has gone, so that even the corners are welled out more, so that when you hold it, see where my fingers are. It makes
sense, right?
Or if you hold it like this, it's the same thing. So you can see how they're really different like that. You'll see the screen being smaller. We move the buttons to the shoulder, so you can hold it any way that you'd like. And yeah. This one's dead, but usually I could show you. Oh man,
it's dead. Damn, you guys will have to come back to another live stream to watch it. That's
right. Wow. But yeah, so we have many different, all sorts of different designs. But that was a great question.
Yeah, that was a really good question. The controller is such a big... it's probably, obviously, one of the biggest parts of the console is how unique the controller design is.
Yeah, it's very unique. And, again, hardcore gamers might absolutely hate it when they first see it.
But there are people that are also going to absolutely love it. And when they pick it up and they use it, like at E3, if they pick it up and they touch it, they go, oh, wow, that's maybe different than I thought. That's really comfortable.
Cygnus Edge asks, hey, Tommy, what's your favorite MLB team? I am a die-hard Yankees fan.
Tough, yeah.
And you want to know the crazy thing? I was born and raised in Massachusetts. So go
I do
figure.
know that. I am in Boston. That is where I am currently.
Really?
Yes, I am currently
so you're an
East
asshole,
Coaster.
like me.
I am. I will admit it. You should come to Boston sometime. You should bring an Amico. You should bring some contraband. Bring the Amico and hide it away in a suitcase.
Totally.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
What's Amico's policy on streaming Amico games? Have at it. Please.
That's good, because or else I wouldn't be able to show it off when, I eventually obtain one. Then I wouldn't be able to show it off. Here's the box, but you can't see the games.
Ooh. Daryl has a great question. Daryl Hurt says, do the names Spencer Nielsen, Attila Hedger, and Tim Follin have any involvement with any of your current projects? So those are all amazing old school composers. Now, Spencer Nielsen was the original composer of Echo the Dolphin. Wouldn't it be amazing?
It's just amazing.
I'm just dreaming here. Dreaming here. But
nudge, wink, wink. Nothing suspicious here. Just
what if me and Spencer Nielsen were to get together and write music for a new dolphin game that may or may not be called Echo?
Flippy the Dolphin. Why not Flippy the Dolphin?
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, that would be pretty good. Just an idea though.
Right. So to answer your question, yes. I'm working with all the greatest composers, all my greatest friends, the designers, the artists. They're all so excited about this.
That's awesome. A good question from Snipers. Would you allow peripherals for the Amico, EX, the Zapper, the ROB for the NES?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're allowing third parties to create, whatever they want. For sure. Like if somebody was saying like, oh my God, like, are you going to put the original cartridge, like so that you could put original Intellivision cartridges in the machine? And we're like, well, no, because we want to keep the price low. And, there's probably, 10,000 people in the world that actually still have Intellivision cartridges, right? And so
Right.
it's not fair to the other millions of people to pay for something they don't even have. But if somebody wanted to do a third party where you could hook it up USB
Ooh.
to the Amico and you put the cartridge in and the overlays come up on our screen, we're all for it. Sure, why
That's
not?
a hint, hint, nudge, nudge to the companies that create that sort of stuff.
Well, I can tell you this, that we are going to have all of the
Oh.
original
Oh, yeah.
Intellivision games, a lot of them,
Yeah.
available in our store as well for like really cheap. We're going to do like packs of 8 for like, $4 or something. It'll be like 50 cents a game.
Oh
Like,
man,
here's
you
10
are
sports games.
you are gonna wipe my wallet. You are
Oh,
totally
come on.
going to wipe it.
Okay.
Ooh.
Will there be TV commercials for Amico? Asks Anthony. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is, we have an $11 million marketing
Yeah.
budget scheduled
Wow.
to start at the end of the summer. So TV, billboards, mall tours,
Whew.
influencers, YouTubers, all that stuff. That's where we're going to get, because we got to put it in people's hands, right? Like
Right.
the Nintendo Wii. That's what we learned.
You have to have the trust
our-
in the people that are interested in it, because if you're just doing advertisements that are, sponsored
You
and
have to
paid for,
play
and
it.
you're like, oh yeah, this is cool, it's not the same as playing it or seeing a true
Exactly.
reaction from, a kid or even a mom going, wow, that's really neat. Or even someone
Absolutely.
like me that goes, wow, I own Intellivisions. This is awesome to see, what Intellivisions become and kind of the process that you guys have gone through.
Yes, exactly. And they asked me, Sonic here says, yes, I did. I wrote music for Sonic and the Black Knight. And yes, I'm a Sonic fan for sure. Looking forward to the movie. Thank God they changed the Sonic character, because I was a little freaked out when I first saw him. So they changed that thanks to the fans. Will you have E3 private demo slots available? We're actually going to be out on the floor at E3, so we're going to be showing it to the general public for the first time.
That's amazing. That right there is an accomplishment. How many years has it taken you to get to that spot? I mean, that must feel amazing to just finally see the reactions from people and see this project is done. Everyone can finally see it and play it.
Get their hands on it. Yeah. Can you file your taxes on the Amico? No.
Damn, that's a shame. I don't think I can buy it now. I'm out. See you later.
Co-op tax filing.
Yeah.
Everybody can join in the torture.
Up to 5 people.
Yeah. That's an M-rated. That's an M-rated game.
Yeah, we don't want that. Yeah.
We don't put that on.
The one M-rated I won't let you have on the console.
Yeah. Let me see. When you tap the controller on your friend's system, do they get those games forever? No. Only when I'm over their house. And then
Right.
when I leave, it stays on their hard drive for 7 days, but they can't play it. But it asks you if you want to buy it. It's just a great way to quickly, share games.
Right. And not
but
have
you
to
don't
say,
own
oh,
it,
I
right.
own this game. Do you own this game? Then it's like with online, you both have to have the game. So you have to spend $120 on the game, and then the online, which is $10 a month.
Right.
It adds up fast. Definitely.
Will the lights on, Andrew asked, will the lights on the controller, on the console, not the controller, but will the lights on the console be decorative only or have a purpose during gameplay? Great question. And absolutely during gameplay, this is amazing. I can't even wait for folks to see how we're doing like certain things on the console that are lit up. And then you have your controller that also the discs light up, and remember all the buttons light up as well.
You have to go flashy. You have to go flashy, Why not?
But the thing is, like, imagine like opening a door, a secret door.
A secret door to a secret hideout.
And the combination is like color coded.
Yeah.
And like you have to work together as a team, and the console is telling you what the colors are. So it's kind of like a group version of like Simon or something, and you're all working together, working out your lights on the disc as they come up, and you're hitting certain colored buttons to match what the console is doing, and you all have to do it together in order to open this door. See what I'm saying? Like, this is like new ideas that can
Right.
happen because of how we've built this thing.
You know, I'm curious, since you are, going to E3 and presenting a product, how do you feel about Sony dipping out and saying it's not worth it?
I think it's absolutely fantastic news for us.
I
So,
figured.
see,
Yeah.
my only hope is that Microsoft goes away too and says they don't want to go to E3 also. So then
You
I'd
might be
like,
getting a little bit greedy now. Maybe just a
okay,
little bit
fine,
greedy. Be
okay,
grateful
fine.
for the chances you
But
have.
right, but the number one company in video game hardware not being there on a day,
Right.
it's better for us.
Right. It helps
So
you. It
I'm
helps
happy
you
they're
more.
not there.
I have never been to an E3.
What?
I've never been to an E3, unfortunately. I
Have
would
you?
love to
Now you're a
go.
board game person. Have you been to Gen Con?
I have.
Yes,
But I've
Gen
never.
Con's awesome.
I
I've
actually
played there. I played
worked.
video games live there a bunch of
Yeah,
times.
I've worked a couple of like Comic Cons, like Rhode Island Comic Con. I, worked booths and I ran games and stuff. I did a lot of the board game stuff for the weekend, and but I've never been to I've never been to an E3, and PAX East
Yeah.
is coming up here soon, which
Oh,
is
Sniper Melon
fun.
asks, will we be doing a press conference at E3? Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yes, that will be
And
very fun.
yes, you can build games on Unity, but not on Unreal Engine.
Oh,
And the reason
interesting.
for that is the Unreal Engine is really focused on, open world 3D stuff,
Right.
and we kind of don't
That's
have that
kind of
stuff
right.
on our system.
Yeah, I mean that's cool though that you still get one of them though. You still get that option.
hmm But yeah, no, Matthew Diaz, we actually, yes, you can use Unity. About 90% of the games being made on Intellivision right now are with Unity. We have a partnership with Unity as well. So,
Right.
just noticed Intellivision HQ in Germany. Are there going to be any European showings of this system? Yes, absolutely. Can we expect some of the more popular board games on Amico? Absolutely. We have a whole list of stuff that we're giving at E3. People are going to freak out.
It's awesome.
Will you be at Gamescom? Yes, we were at Gamescom last year when we released our trailer. But yeah, we'll have a system on the floor at Gamescom.
What are
this
some
year.
of the conventions that you're going to show off the Amico this year besides like E3 obviously?
E3 and Gamescom are the two major ones.
Right. That's good. That's awesome. Do.
Anyway, cool.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great.
Yeah.
Thank you so
I
much.
think most of the questions are done. I'm glad that we,
A lot of
answered
questions.
so many of them. But yes, I think that is going to end the interview. Tommy, please shill for the Amico. Tell us the information. Tell us the price. Tell us where to order it.
I don't know. I'm kind of shy. Maybe I should.
Oh, all right. Well,
No.
all right. Don't
No,
plead your
no,
case.
wait.
Don't plead your case. All right. All right.
No, it's IntellivisionAmico.com. Sign up to our mailing list. The Founders Edition is going to be available on Monday at 1 p.m. We're only doing 2,600 of them, and the value is amazing. It's over $400 worth of value, and we're selling them for $299. And all you have to do is put $100 down now, and it's 100% refundable. So if you change your mind on Tuesday, just ask us for the money back. You get it back.
That is awesome. That's great.
So IntellivisionAmico.com, and of course, we're very active on Twitter, very active on Facebook, and of course, please check out our YouTube channel because we're just dropping bombs like every day at this point. So,
Right, yeah.
And make sure you check out the Night Stalker that we just came out this
Yes.
morning. People are freaking out about it. They're
I have
loving it.
linked the website and the Twitter in the chat
Oh,
for
there
any
you
of
go.
you.
Thank you.
For any of you that are interested, and thank you all so much for stopping by. Tommy, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I do very much so appreciate it. Maybe in a
Awesome.
couple more months we can have you on again after E3, talk some of the spoilers, get that hype going again. But
I'm looking forward to it.
all right, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys are not already. Thank you so much
Yes.
for stopping by tonight, and have a fantastic night, everyone.